That's right, just $4.99 down for Lincoln Town Car. With a luxurious interior, rear-wheel drive, and a V8 that can go 100,000 miles between scheduled tune-ups. But hurry, see your Lincoln dealer today. $4.99 down.
Sweat and tears and their prayers. Tonight, Jimmy's face was beamed from the Dolphins scoreboard. Another opportunity his family believes for the publicity they hope will help bring him home.
They wanted us to keep Jimmy's seat empty. First, you know, we thought we'd put the poster there, and then we said no. And when he comes home, hopefully for the next Dolphin game, they'll be here together.
It's just so hard to deal with it because everyone's looking for him, yet nothing's turned up.
And despite all that publicity and despite the searches and the hundreds of tips coming into police themselves will tell you they are still no closer to finding Jimmy Ryce, even a week after his disappearance. At Joe Robbie Stadium, I'm Glenna Milberg, 7 at 11.
All right, thank you very much, Glenna. The little boy missing for more than a week and a family's agony. In the midst of the celebration at last night's Dolphins game, the Ryce family making an emotional plea for the safe return of their 9-year-old son. His seat sat empty, a reminder that he is still missing. 7's Glenna Milberg has more from the Joe.
A sellout crowd, some 73,000 people. One seat will stay empty.
They wanted us to keep Jimmy's seat empty. First, you know, we thought we'd put the poster there, and then we said no. And when he comes home, hopefully for the next Dolphin game, they'll be here together.
It's just so hard to deal with it because everyone's looking for him, yet nothing's turned up.
In section 429, row 20, seat number 9, his family's season ticket seats. 9-year-old Jimmy Ryce was to be here at the Dolphins-Steelers game with his buddy and his family. But it's been exactly a week since he got off his school bus 5 blocks from home and vanished. No sign of Jimmy nor his school bag, despite police searches, despite his neighbors' sweat and tears and prayers.
Hope they find him.
This latest photo of Dolphin fan Jimmy was taken at Joe Robbie Stadium 2 weeks ago as he watched his team open the season.
Yeah, he likes Dan Marino, Irving Fryer. You could practically name anyone there and he'd know who they were.
A family in Homestead, Florida desperately needs your help.
Jimmy's story went national last weekend, featured on America's Most Wanted. Another opportunity on this night as his face beams from the stadium scoreboard.
To please look at Jimmy's picture on our Jumbotron screens closely. If you think you've seen him anywhere, please call 1-800-843-5678.
We're still real positive, real positive. We're going to find him.
And you could probably count on one hand the people in this stadium who have not heard about Jimmy Ryce's disappearance. But despite that, and all the tips and the leads and the searches, police will tell you even 1 week later, they are still no closer to finding Jimmy Ryce. At Joe Robbie Stadium, I'm Glenna Milberg for Today in Florida.
Well, Jimmy was missed not only at the Dolphins game, but also at a baseball game. Last night, Jimmy's baseball team took to the field. His Little League team played a game at Homestead's Municipal Field. Jimmy usually plays third base. Well, Jimmy's parents have given us this home video. Look closely and you can see the 9-year-old standing at the top of your screen. His parents are hoping the release of this home video will jog the memory of somebody who may have seen the little boy. Now, as of this morning, the Crime Stoppers tip line has received close to 1,000 phone calls regarding the case, but none of them leading to anything solid. Police say they are not giving up, though. If you think you know anything about this case, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers at 471-TIPS. Another South Florida child making...
States the 365 arrests made over the last 9 seasons of the original America's Most Wanted series. Here's a terrific guy, John Walsh, everybody.
Welcome back, John. Nice to see you again. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you. Thank you.
What a great idea to have a follow-up and a follow-through on the guys that you caught, you know?
Well, we've had thousands of letters over the years and phone calls from people saying, what happened to that guy? Did he get justice? What happened to the victims? Did they survive? What has gone on with their life? And what about the criminal? What did he do on the run? How did he stay out there so long? So we update those stories, give you a little bit behind the scenes, because America's Most Wanted is so fast-paced. You know, we look for criminals. If we catch them, we tell you, but we don't have the time to show you behind the scenes. So plus we'll be able to do some of our most difficult fugitives and a missing child every day.
Now, this is not a simulated reproduction, you know. This is the actual trial, right? Or
no,
as much of it as you can get.
Where we can get in the courtroom, we tell you the whole story, how we got the story. We show you a little bit of the crime, how we caught the guy. And some of these guys, I never believed in making these guys famous. I never really went into the jails and interviewed them. But some of them, I think the American public should see how chilling they are, really how remorseless, and how some of these repeat offenders know how to beat the system. And so sometimes we go in and interview these guys and show a little bit about what happened to them. But, and then we try to wind up every day, as I said, with a missing child, because there's so many cases of long-term missing children that aren't revisited by the media. You know, your child goes missing 3 weeks later, those cameras are out of your front yard, and your child is now just another picture. So,
statistic,
yeah, so with 5 days a week, we'll be able to add millions and millions of more eyes and probably catch more criminals.
Well, out of the 365 arrests, how many of them have actually gone to jail and are serving time?
Well, about 98% of them, and some are still waiting to come to trial. We've only had a couple guys have gotten out on technicalities or made deals. You know what I mean? Plea bargain, made a deal to turn somebody else in, but I'm amazed at the conviction rate. I don't know, I think it's when the scrutiny of our cameras are there, the judge feels I've got to do the best I can, the DA, and not that they,
outraged.
Not that they don't work hard, but sometimes a judge will give a guy a little extra, and of course I say that, especially the guys we do the worst of the worst.
Well, let's take a look at one of the victims here. You're talking with an abduction victim named, is it Nikki Driver?
Nikki Driver, little girl, 4-year-old.
Little girl. All right, let's take a look at a scene from American Justice here.
What did you think was happening to you?
Getting kidnapped.
And he told you what?
Don't move a muscle.
Don't move a muscle?
Not even one.
Not even one. Other kids are going to be watching this show. And if you could say something to those kids about strangers and about people come up to you, what would you say to other kids?
Don't listen to them.
Don't listen to them. And what if they come up and tell you, do you want candy or something like that?
Say no.
That little girl got out okay, huh?
Got back alive. Repeat offender, guy that had served 17 years, should have been in for life, kidnapped 3 little girls, tortured them, and he got out. First thing he did, on parole, drove from Maryland to this suburb in Ohio to look specifically for a little girl, grabbed her. We profiled him twice on the show. We believe he saw himself. He got scared, let her go. He had kidnapped another little girl, let her go too. Fortunately, he was pulled over at a rest stop, and a trooper who is a diehard fan of the show, law enforcement, watch it all the time, spotted him, chased him. He crossed the median on the highway and smashed into an 18-wheeler truck and burned to death.
Oh, my gosh.
Now...
Was the little girl with him? No.
No, he let her go. He just let her go.
Wow.
I know, it's funny, the truck driver said, he said, usually the bad guys win, but he said in this case, the good guys won.
What was he abducting her for, ransom money?
He was into molesting little girls, yeah. Most of these guys, they're pedophiles.
Yeah.
They're sexual predators, they're pedophiles.
Oh, but
just
we
like
have to protect their civil rights.
Oh, please, please. I mean, the guy, you just talked to the guy, or the lady in Petaluma. That guy that kidnapped Polly Klaas had been convicted of 3 kidnappings of women. On 3 occasions, one woman he beat her with a crowbar and fractured her skull. What was he doing out? What was he doing out of jail? After 3 kidnappings of women, what was he doing out to kidnap little Polly Klaas?
Don't you feel the tide's turning? The American people have had it with this sort of thing.
I do. I was on the legislative trail last year. 4 states, we got a victims' rights constitutional amendment.
Megan's Law in New Jersey.
Megan's Law in 20 states, but now we have 21 states that the victims have the same rights as the criminals. I hope in my lifetime I see victims get the same rights in every courtroom in every state.
Wouldn't that be nice?
We're going to pause. We'll come right back.
Tomorrow on Live, actor turned TV producer Sean Cassidy.
I just asked John if he'd ever gone before Congress to testify, you know, and he said last Thursday was his 31st time going before Congress.
And are they responsive?
Very responsive.
Oh, I'm sure they're responsive when you're there, but does anything come out of these pleas?
We've gotten a couple federal bills passed, and I'm working on a new bill with this Congress for death penalty for people who kidnap children and murder them, because there are several states without the death penalty where we've done guys on America's Most Wanted who have killed children, gotten out after 5-6 years of a minimum sentence, good time, good behavior.
Killed children and gotten out after 5 years.
What does that say about our culture, that a child's life is basically worthless?
I learned firsthand. We did a guy here in New York State named Arthur Shawcross who killed a 7-year-old boy. He killed a 12-year-old girl. He only served 15 years, and he said, don't let me out. What I really hate is women. Well, they paroled him to Rochester, New York, nice little community, never told him they were sending this monster there, and he killed 11 women in 2 years that he was in Rochester, New York.
What happened to the judge who let him out?
Well, you know, I say this to people who say the death penalty is not a deterrent. It might not stop someone else, but tell the 11 husbands of those women and their children,
the parents of those children,
that if Arthur Shawcross had been executed for the murder of those 2 children, those women would be walking around in Rochester, New York right now. So we're working on a death penalty for kidnappers. That would involve the FBI.
Yeah, I was just going to ask our audience, which I'm always fascinated to see. Would you mind if we take a little poll and, you know, how many people in our audience are for the death penalty for child murderers? And how many of you aren't? 3. Do you think that represents America?
I think America's fed up with the level of violence, and I think that, you know, I was never a great death penalty advocate, but I've done so many guys on this show that have killed, murdered women, murdered children, and have gotten out, and life without possibility of parole doesn't mean that in the United States. We did a guy from Texas whose sentence was commuted. He was strapped in the Texas death chair twice. His sentence was commuted to life without, then it was down to life. He got out and killed 5 women the first 5 months he was out there, and I said, you know something? Maybe the death penalty is a deterrent for these guys.
Are these serial killers?
Well, they're serial pedophiles, serial child molesters. I testified last Thursday before a Senate or a House subcommittee, and the FBI testified with me, and they said, we think there's about 100 serial killers at large in this country, identity unknown, and many of them are serial killers of children. And they only have 15 FBI agents in this one division who track serial killers. So we're talking about more money. You know, there's about 1,000 FBI agents who work on bank fraud. And I say, you've got to give these 15 agents some money. And I say, you know, you make a sweep of the pen here at Congress, and you spent $600 million to fix the Hubble telescope. You spend $1 billion every space launch, and I'm from Florida. And you know what? That space shuttle didn't solve one of the 24,000 homicides last year were happening in this country. Didn't send back any information how to cure cancer. Didn't help recover 1 missing child. I said, let's talk about allocating funds to tracking the people that murder our women and children and hunt us down.
I asked John also, during the commercial, if out of all these guys that you've tracked all these years, have you ever found one that was sorry?
Never have I've not met them or interviewed them, have they been remorseful. It amazes me that you would think someone facing death, I mean, they all become born-again Christians in jail.
Do you believe
they all
any
do
of
their
them?
best stuff. The guy that I did, Kenneth McDuff, that got out and killed 5 women, he was a born-again Christian in jail. That's how he got paroled, and he went right out and killed 5 women. I mean, some people, I'm sure they can maybe find God in prison, etc. But the guys that I've been tracking, the vast majority of them are just selfish, remorseless predators.
I also asked you, are these pedophiles people who were abused themselves as children? And you gave me a very startling answer.
Some of them are, and some of them probably were and are angry. But, you know, we have people work at our centers all over the country that were abused and molested and don't hurt children and don't molest children. And so many of them use these excuses. I mean, this victimology. I was at a trial where a guy brought in 35 witnesses, character witnesses, at his sentencing phase. They said he was fat when he was young, he had acne, he couldn't get a date, he was an alcoholic, this and that. You know, he's making him the victim. Yeah. He was the one that preyed upon these little girls. He should have been in jail for whatever the reason.
Everybody's a victim. Let's take a look at a typical missing child. Now this little boy, is it Jimmy?
Jimmy Ryce was kidnapped 9 days ago from Homestead, Florida.
Now, we're sure he's kidnapped.
Absolutely. His parents are intact. They're both attorneys. He was getting off the school bus.
Dear God.
Beautiful little boy, 9 years old. And the police are convinced it's a stranger abduction, and we're just praying that somebody might have seen something at that bus stop.
Homestead, Florida.
Homestead, Florida. Little Jimmy Ryce, 9 years old.
And who should they call if they have?
They can call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at a toll-free number, or they can call their police. But a lot of people don't want to call police. They can call America's Most Wanted if they don't want to talk to police.
John, I think what you're doing is just incredible. I'm really, really proud.
Good luck, John. And thanks very much. You're terrific.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with Julia Barr from All My Children in a moment.
Tomorrow on Live, Boy George tells all in his new book.
White car has entered the picture in the search for Jimmy Ryce. Police are calling it a viable lead. Let's go straight to News 4 reporter Lisette Campos live outside Jimmy's home in the Redland.
Eliana, it's now been 213 hours since Jimmy Ryce disappeared, and the two most recent developments we have to tell you about involved a new reward money and a little boy. Let's start first with that little boy. His name is Alex Flores, and he gets off at the same school bus stop where Jimmy was last seen on September the 11th at 3 o'clock. Now, this boy has told police that he saw an empty white car parked near the school bus stop for several days before Jimmy's disappearance, and it's a car he hasn't seen after that.
For 1 week, then the other week it was parked right there. It was gone. The second day, Jimmy was missing.
What kind of car was it?
It was whitish, then like on the sides it had some blue.
We heard something about a white vehicle. I think that's being looked at. Other than that, no.
That white vehicle is definitely being looked at. That is a possible lead. Police are telling us that they are checking every possibility in this case. And again, they are taking that boy very seriously. Now, last week we reported to you that Jimmy Ryce was approached by a car. His mother explained how a week before his disappearance, someone in a car approached him asking for directions. It made Jimmy nervous. We also told you about several parents whose kids, they say, were almost abducted 2 weeks before Jimmy's disappearance. Now the key for police is to find out whether the cars that these family members are describing, the car that Jimmy Ryce described to his mother, is in fact the same white car that this little boy is telling them about. Reporting live from the Redlands, I'm Lisette Campos, News 4, South Florida.
Thank you very much, Lisette.
Information that leads to Jimmy Rice's safe return before his birthday, which is September the 26th.
Hundreds of calls and no solid leads. Police say there may be a small break in the case. Police are now looking for a white car which was seen near Jimmy Rice's Redlands bus stop just days before his disappearance. That 9-year-old vanished last Monday. The reward for Ryce has been raised to $125,000.
Well, this case continuing to attract national attention. Earlier today, John Walsh, host of America's Most Wanted, appeared on the Regis and Kathy Lee show. Walsh fielded questions concerning the Jimmy Ryce case. He urged viewers to call in any tips they may have concerning this case. Walsh's own son, Adam, was abducted from a Florida mall more than 10 years ago.
Teachers and children gathered at Turner Technical School this morning to hold a prayer vigil for Jimmy. They all locked hands and surrounded the school flagpole, all praying for a miracle.
We're here today praying and lifting up the name of Jesus. We're praying for Jimmy, who has been missing. We're praying for school violence. We're praying for all the schools and teachers and administrations throughout Dade County. Today is National Prayer Day.
The vigil lasted about a half an hour. During that time, the group also talked about teenage pregnancy and drugs in school.
Attention to a little boy who's in elementary school who's told them he may have seen something that's important.
First it was parked along Jimmy Street, then it was parked along the other street.
Did you ever see anybody inside the car?
No.
Alex Flores is the little boy who may have given investigators their best possible lead so far. The boy rides a school bus every day and gets off at the same bus stop as Jimmy, Southwest 232 Street and 162nd Avenue. He's told police he saw an empty white car parked near that corner for several days before the 9-year-old disappeared.
When you saw the car, did you think it was strange?
Yeah, because I never saw it there.
And then after Jimmy disappeared, you never saw the car again?
No.
The car this boy describes to police is an old two-door with the paint coming off.
You remember this for sure? This is not something that you may be mistaken, something you...
I remember.
You remember it?
Yeah.
You didn't dream up the car?
No.
Nothing we've heard indicates that Jimmy's not still alive. That's what counts.
Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, we've got interviews with two moms who say that their sons were almost abducted this month. Live in the Redlands, I'm Lisette Campos, News 4, South Florida.
Support of Jimmy's family. Tony. Nora, thank you. Former Dolphins,
it seems, are on the lookout for a white car. Lisette?
Yes, they are, Cambrell, and that's because of a young boy who reported seeing a strange white car near the very spot where Jimmy Ryce was last seen 9.5 days ago. And it may be the same car that approached 2 other boys in the neighborhood.
My son, about 2 weeks ago, he was riding his bike down Roberts Road close to our house, and a guy stopped by him and asked him, you know, he told him something about, you like fast cars, you want to race with me?
In the 2 weeks prior to Jimmy Ryce's disappearance, these neighbors reportedly encountered some close calls with their own sons. FBI agents have interviewed both moms who tell a similar story. Strangers driving up to their sons in a light-colored car trying to pick them up.
I said, well, come in, we'll take you. And he said, no, I'm waiting for my ride.
And now this.
First it was parked along Jimmy Street, then it was parked along the other street.
Did you ever see anybody inside the car?
No.
Alex Flores is a little boy who may have given investigators their best possible lead. He's told police he saw an empty white car parked near Jimmy's bus stop for several days before the 9-year-old disappeared. When you saw the car, did you think it was strange?
Yeah, because I never saw it there.
And then after Jimmy disappeared, you never saw the car again?
No.
And it's a sighting that may have been corroborated by none other than Jimmy himself. On the same week, Alex Flores says he saw the white car. Jimmy told his mother he was approached by strangers in a car asking for directions.
I said, if anybody ever stops you and asks you for directions again, it may seem rude to you, but you should throw your book bag down and run.
Did he describe the car to you?
No, he didn't. He didn't describe the car or the people. I didn't realize that it was important to get that information.
Again, police are asking anyone with information about Jimmy to please call the Crime Stoppers hotline. The number is 471-TIPS. There's a $25,000 reward, and Jimmy's parents have put up a $100,000 reward for the safe return of Jimmy before next Tuesday. That is his 10th birthday. Reporting live in the Redlands, Lisette Campos, News 4, South Florida.
Okay, thank you, Lisette. Now stay tuned to News 4 for any breaking developments in this case.
Jose, NB6 just happened upon homicide investigators this morning when they were assembling their search party. They were armed with aerial photographs of the area. They didn't want any volunteers around. They didn't want any family members around and no media. In that way, they could pull off an orderly, systematic search for about 5 hours. Metro-Dade fire units and at least 24 Metro-Dade police cadets were pressed into service for the official search. It began on the very street where Jimmy Ryce was last seen getting off a school bus 2 weeks ago today. The search even included Jimmy's own yard.
What they told us really are 2 things. First of all, they have never called off the search in the first place, and that the investigation has been intensively continuing from day one.
Or there may have been something that has been left since the last search. You know, maybe a shoe fell off or something. Now that we know what kind of shoes he had on.
In fact, at police headquarters, investigators assembled an exact replica of the shorts and shoes the 9-year-old wore the day he disappeared. A huge billboard now on US 1 in Naranja notifies commuters of the lost boy. Meanwhile, 100,000 posters are being snapped up by concerned parents from all over the state.
I'll put them from Key Largo all the way down. That'd be terrific.
My nephew's here from West Palm Beach. He's just got hired on Green Acres Police Department, and they're taking him up. And the lady yesterday took him to Okeechobee.
I've told some of the mothers who said I put my kid in his place. Jimmy wouldn't let anybody go in his place, and I wouldn't put anybody in his place, because it's not a place any child should ever be.
And now Metro Police homicide investigators are tight-lipped. They haven't reported anything that they found or didn't find out here today. And also report that tomorrow is Jimmy's 10th birthday. There will be a prayer vigil at the First Baptist Church of the Redlands tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And the family is also releasing a video that Jimmy attended a birthday party earlier this year. And at 6 o'clock, NBC6.
In Central Florida this weekend, the bodies of 3 9-year-olds' disappearance. News 4 reporter Gary Nelson is live in the Redlands now with the details.
Well, Ileana, we were only able to come to the Ryce house in the Redlands a short while ago because of a police search of the immediate vicinity. Police officers and academy cadets only participating in this renewed search. Joining me now is Metro-Dade Detective Dennis Morales. Detective Morales, after all the searching searching that has gone on in this case. Why another search today?
Well, homicide investigators have now joined the investigation. They work hand in hand with our laboratory people, and basically they've conducted a very meticulous search of the area, 1 mile radius from the bus stop where Jimmy was last seen. They're looking for items of value, items of possibly laboratory evidence, shoe impressions, tire impressions, anything that can be analyzed and shed some light on the case.
Maybe not a big, huge piece of evidence as we look at some aerial video now of that search that was conducted today, but a tiny bit perhaps.
Well, originally the community courteously assisted in searching. Basically, it was a broad search, a search for the recovery of Jimmy himself or items large in nature. Detectives now are trained to look for small items, blood evidence, shoe impressions, tire impressions, things that the ordinary person would not basically see during this broad search, something that could shed some light on the case and possibly lead to something of the recovery.
And in a word, did you find anything?
Unfortunately, no. Investigators have not given up hope, though. Tomorrow's his birthday, and we hope to find something that'll recover him.
Metro Day Detective Dennis Morales, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and good luck as you continue this investigation. Tomorrow, of course, a $100,000 reward being offered for Jimmy's safe return expires on his 10th birthday at midnight tomorrow night. Ileana?
And Gary, of course, everyone is praying that Jimmy will be home for his 10th birthday, but what if he isn't, God forbid? Any word on whether they might be willing to extend that $100,000 reward?
The Ryce family is saying the deadline is tomorrow night at midnight, and that is very deliberate. The deadline itself acting as a lever, pressure for someone who might know something to come forward with it and to come forward with it now. Reporting live in the Redlands, Gary Nelson, News 4 South Florida.
Okay, Gary, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
A series of satellite uplinks and computer displays puts atmospheric conditions at your fingertips. This is the busiest facility of its type in the country, taking over 2 million weather requests every year.
How important is this information to a pilot?
Very important. I believe, if I recall, aviation weather or weather-related accidents is the #1 cause of aviation accidents.
So this is one of the top things on their list of things to check.
This is the one thing that can help prevent an accident.
Well, they've got almost 70 controllers on duty, obviously 24 hours a day, 365, I guess with leap year, 366 days a year. They don't close up shop. And they have really an amazing weather computer here that can call up weather from anywhere. Anna, Steve, just give me a city in North America you want to know the weather is.
Oh, North America. Let's see.
I'll give you one that's got good weather. Try Seattle, where it's always raining.
What's going on in Seattle? That's a good one.
I'll make them work, too.
It's raining just a few seconds. What's going on?
Present weather conditions at Seattle are reported scattered clouds at 2,300 feet, scattered clouds at 5,500, an overcast ceiling at 6,000
Surprise,
feet.
surprise.
Visibility 15 miles. The temperature is 61 degrees.
You guys want to fly there?
That's nice.
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's go.
for the 61.
Little
Let's
cooler.
go. How long will it take?
Nelson has the story from the Redlands.
Police sealed off the street to Jimmy Rice's house 2 weeks to the day after the boy vanished. After all the searching that's been done, a new search was launched today. This is the first police-only search of Jimmy Rice's neighborhood. Only lawmen and police dogs are being allowed in the area. But for a brief photo op, even the media was kept away. Police not wanting extraneous human smells to distract the noses of dogs being used in the search. Don and Claudine Rice clutched newly printed posters of Jimmy's face and were heartened by all the police activity.
They're looking again, trying to make sure that nothing has been overlooked. That's very encouraging to us. The only thing that would bother us is if we didn't see them doing something.
Something else police did today was release replicas of the clothing Jimmy was wearing when he disappeared. Knee-length blue jean shorts and oversized white Nikes with black soles and green shoelaces that form into a figure 8. Friends today continued emailing Jimmy's picture to computer terminals all across the country.
Did the car have any kind of damage on it or anything?
Operators continued fielding calls today to a toll-free 1-800 number being used to take possible tips in Jimmy's case. That number and his face plastered all over the state now with a $100,000 reward offer about to expire.
I'd love to give it away. I'd love somebody to give us a lead that will lead to Jimmy coming home. I would love to give it away.
And the offer of the $100,000 reward for Jimmy's safe return expires tomorrow night at midnight on what would be Jimmy Rice's 10th birthday. Reporting live in the Redlands, Gary Nelson, News 4 South Florida.
Thank you, Gary. Stay tuned to News 4 South Florida for the very latest on the disappearance of Jimmy Rice. We'll continue.
It happened to Jimmy in the Redlands here. It could have happened to any kid anywhere in this country.
Physically drained and emotionally broken, the parents of Jimmy Rice lashed out today at federal and state elected officials for not doing more to search for their son. 16 days after Jimmy disappeared, the Rices fear their son has been taken out of Florida by now, and they say there aren't enough of these reward posters out there for someone to recognize him.
Total strangers have offered to help. There are law enforcement agencies in other states on an individual basis that have offered to help. But that's really hit or miss, isn't it? We need something coordinated.
But the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says it's done just that, entering Jimmy's picture and personal information into the National Crime Information Computer. The NCIC police around the country tap into on a daily basis. And in less than 5 weeks, Jimmy's picture will be on their ADCO cards. Cards mailed to 57 million homes around the country that have helped find 1 out of every 7 missing kids. But it's posters in different states on main streets, post offices, and grocery stores the Rices think will make the difference.
If everyone knew what he looked like, everyone could be looking, and there'd be a lot better chance of his being found alive.
And on a final note, the Rices have extended the $100,000 reward indefinitely until someone finds their son. Live in the Redlands, I'm Lisette Campos, News 4, South Florida.
Okay, thank you, Lisette. Now be sure to stay with News 4 for continuing coverage of the search for Jimmy Rice. If there are any new developments.
Stay without him, and tonight they're asking for help, only this time they want it straight from the top. 7's Belkis Neray explains.
I don't think there's a parent in this country who loves their children who doesn't understand something of the pain and the suffering that Claudine and I are going through.
That pain and suffering replaced today by anger. Jimmy Rice's parents lashing out at politicians who they say haven't gotten involved in what's becoming a national problem.
Where are they now that we need their help so desperately? Jimmy's kidnapping isn't a local issue. It happened to Jimmy in the Redlands here. It could have happened to any kid anywhere in this country.
Now, since Jimmy disappeared more than 2 weeks ago, thousands of volunteers from this area have been around looking for the missing 10-year-old. Now Jimmy's parents are asking those same volunteers who took an interest in this case in the beginning to turn around and fax or write Governor Childs, even the White House, to see if they can get some pressure on these politicians to change the rules when it comes to missing children.
It really should be nationally resolved, centralized, investigated. And people who can't come up with funds like us, they have children taken too, and they need this kind of help. It isn't just us.
Meantime, police say local efforts to find the Redlands boy are far from over. This morning, search dogs and cops on horseback out yet another time. They're going over areas that have already been searched in an attempt to make sure nothing's been overlooked that might lead them to Jimmy.
We're going to continue to search. Obviously, as long as there are leads that we can follow, and even long after that, the department will continue to search for this child.
But until Jimmy does turn up, the Rice family is turning their grief into a mission for change. In the Redlands, Belkis Neray, 7 News.
Well, if you have any information on Jimmy's whereabouts, you are asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, as always, 471-TIPS. Again, 471-TIPS.
The police files on the kidnapping and murder of Adam Walsh may soon become public. A hearing is set for next month in Fort Lauderdale for a request by 3 newspapers to open those files. In June, a circuit judge ruled the files could remain closed because police may have new leads. But the newspapers say police have admitted that there are no new leads and no new suspects. A 6-year-old Adam Walsh was murdered back in 1981.
Tonight,
they say police in a few other states have offered to help, but they want a more coordinated nationwide effort.
Everyone knew what he looked like. Everyone could be looking, and there'd be a lot better chance of his being found alive.
Jimmy's picture is on a nationwide police computer network and has been seen on nationally syndicated television shows.
Well, tonight the government is taking action to protect drivers from possible problems with...
Why is the killing of a child more national in scope than saving one?
For many across America, it's an unknown. For Jimmy's family, it's a nightmare they don't wake up from.
I'm going through something that is the closest to hell that hell must be like. And we work and we work and we work, and we still don't have Jimmy.
He's my only little brother, and I want him back.
The $100,000 reward put up for Jimmy's safe return has been extended indefinitely. In the meantime, Jimmy's parents are asking for help from elected officials in getting some sort of funding that would ensure that the pictures of missing children get into police departments across the country immediately after that child is reported missing, because right now, Diane, it is taking up to 2 to 3 weeks for that to happen. Back to you.
And that's always precious time. Gail, thanks. Gail Bright reporting from the Redlands once again tonight.
There is still no WSVN.com. Simple.
Oh,
It must be simple. I was talking to Will Harbison. He said we've had
poster distributed nationwide.
Total strangers have offered to help their law enforcement agencies in other states on an individual basis that have offered to help. But that's really hit or miss, isn't it? We need something coordinated.
They have had some national exposure with Jimmy's picture on a nationwide police computer network and on nationally syndicated TV shows. Now, Jimmy's parents are still offering that $100,000 reward, so if you have any information, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers at 471...
Day and date. It can be seen right here on Channel 4 starting at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, the search for the youngster is continuing. It has now been 17 days since he was last seen. The family is still offering its $100,000 reward, along with a $25,000 reward from Crime Stoppers. So if you have any information, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers at 471-TIPS. Remember, you can remain anonymous.
I've read about men's groups doing this, and I've always hated to be excluded.
Who love each other.
I swear to God, I smell different. Smell me. Could you just stop thinking about yourself for 1 second?
Torment each other.
You were lying in bed with a stale Diet Pepsi, smoking a cigarette. I wish you would see my therapist.
And share their deepest secrets.
How did he know that your legs would bend back like that? Men like that just know these things.
Moonlight and Valentino. Rated R. Starts tomorrow at theaters everywhere.
Jose Canseco for El Dorado Furniture.
I play hard, live a fast life. But at home, I relax on my beautiful furniture from El Dorado.
El Dorado has beautiful furniture to please one and all. El Dorado Furniture means high quality at the lowest price. To some, it's even a steal.
El Dorado Furniture. It's not only beautiful, but extremely comfortable.
El Dorado, where you always find your dream furniture.
Today's word from Lean Cuisine, satisfying. The dictionary defines satisfying as filling or gratifying. Stouffer's Lean Cuisine defines it as our new Hearty Portions. Hearty Portions, the great taste of Lean Cuisine and up to 50% more of it.
Cambrell Marshall, only on News 4 South Florida.
Live on Day and Date, it's Johnny on the Spot.
Absence of motive tends to establish innocence.
How far will Cochran go to save O.J. Simpson? Day and Date is live with the latest. Is your kid safe from sexual predators at school?
Me. Pull on his boxers and expose himself to me.
Sex harassment in the classroom. What to do when kids abuse kids. It's the little pill that's better than we ever expected. Dr. Nancy Snyderman reports on the new discovery in the amazing power of aspirin.
I just don't want pictures of us. I'm not going to pose. I'm not going to touch any. I'm not going to talk to any.
Melrose Place star Andrew Shue throws a fit. Find out what turned the shy guy into a real screamer. This is Day and Date for Thursday, September 28, 1995. Live from New York City, Dana King and Patrick Van Horn.
Good afternoon, everyone. The State versus Simpson. Two defense attorneys open fire on the prosecution's case in day 2 of their closing arguments.
And that leaves a huge challenge for Marcia Clark in her upcoming rebuttal. But she's not the only person feeling the sting from their words today. So is Ronald Goldman's father.
This man is a horror walking around amongst us, and he compares what Mark Furman did to misery from the the beginnings of history.
Fred Goldman blasted defense attorney Johnny Cochran outside the courtroom. Inside, police corruption and racism were the powerful themes as Cochran wrapped up his arguments with an all-out attack on detectives Philip Van Adder and Mark Furman.
The two of them need to be paired together because they are twins of deception. Furman and Van Adder, twins of deception.
As the families watched, Cochran complimented his adversary's fashion sense.
Nice tie, my brother.
And invoked God and country.
The book of Luke talks about that. Talks about if you're untruthful in small things, you should be disbelieved in big things. And we'll never have an ideal society, one that lives out the true meaning of the creed of the Constitution, of life, liberty, and justice for all.
The fiery attorney left the lectern on a calm and confident note.
I'll relax tonight, knowing that soon it's going to be in your hands. We're real comfortable about that, all of us.
Well, does the defense measure up to the performance by the prosecution? Joining us now live from Los Angeles is Richard Green. He's a jury consultant. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
Johnny Cochran has pulled in everything, religion, the Constitution, I mean, everyone short of his mother, really. How did he do overall?
Well, don't rule out his mother. He's going to be back on after Barry Scheck, so we might hear from Johnny's mother. I think he does Johnny Cochran extraordinarily well. The question is that going to work with the jury? And my feeling about this is that the jurors who love Johnny Cochran are going to be moved by this. And what this is going to do is solidify the emotional strength that they're going to exert in that jury room on the other jurors who may be more rationally based. And I think that what it may also do on the other end is be turning off some of the white jurors who are not affected or not drawn in by that Johnny Cochran magic.
Well, how about all this bickering between, you've got Johnny Cochran referencing his opponent, Christopher Darden. You've got Darden talking about Johnny Cochran. I mean, Cochran talked about his tie. Isn't that a waste of time during these proceedings?
Well, I think that this is the seamy, sleazy side of lawyers, and I think that the internal bickering has no place here. I'm personally offended by it, and I think the jurors are as well. I think that Darden and Cochran have been going after each other the whole trial, and I think that it's not a good thing for our profession, and I don't think it looks good, for the jury at all.
You know, another thing he's been doing is using the N-word. He replayed the Furman tapes. What's he trying to do by using the word himself?
Well, I think it's very obvious. I think the more he focuses on the N-word and the racial part of this trial, the race card that Bob Shapiro said would never be played, the more he's going to make it difficult, and here's the key, difficult for those black jurors, and remember we have 9 out of the 12 are black, make it difficult for them to vote to convict O.J. Simpson, because the perception in the black community, and I'm not saying anything that the polls are not already showing, is that O.J. Simpson has been framed, that this is a racial issue, and those jurors, and now remember, the most important part of his closing was when he was talking about how the effect of their decision will spread outside the 9th floor. Right. And what he's doing subtly, in a subliminal way, is trying to scare the heck out of them, that when they go back to their communities, they're going to be in big trouble with their black neighbors if they vote for conviction.
Of the riots, the race riots in
Well,
LA.
it's not just the riot. It's not just the riot. It's the personal reputations of these jurors within their own family group and their neighbors. Right. How can they walk down their own neighborhood streets and not be personally scorned if they were one of the 12 people who convicted O.J. Simpson?
You know, moments ago, the trial took a recess, but we do have some snippets of Cochran as he was speaking. And if you would look at this tape, this is Johnny Cochran making a very emotional plea to the jury.
Okay. I want you to place yourself the day after you render the verdict. When you get up and you look in the mirror and you're free, you're no longer sequestered. You probably look for each other, but you'll be happy to be home again. But what's important is, look in that mirror and say, have I been true to my oath? Did I do the right thing? Was I naive? Was I timid? Or was I courageous?
What do you think of that? Did he hammer home his point hard enough?
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. He is literally, he's not only playing the race card, he is playing the fear card. He's trying to get right into the soul of those people and scare them into doing what he wants them to do. It's very manipulative. I think it's going to work with some of the jurors, and as I've mentioned, this is going to cause the jury deliberation process to expand. Because what happens if you're in there and it's just a question of black and white, it's just a question of making a logical decision, that can be done very quickly. But when you are fighting to uphold those virtues and that spiritual process that Johnny Cochran has invited them to involve themselves in, then you get some really incredibly heated debate. You know, we're all supposed to not talk about politics or religion. Well, he has infused them with that, and I think that it's going to make I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that jury room, but I think it's going to be very, very heated. We might even be able to hear it out here.
All right, we've got another piece of tape of Johnny Cochran referencing O.J.'s good character. Take a look at that.
The bottom line is, the positive things in this man's life, the good days, far outweigh the bad days. And in your life, in all of our lives, we just hope at the end, when we must ultimately meet our makers, that the good days have outweighed the bad days.
What do you think of that?
Well,
you're shaking your head, you're laughing.
Well, I'm laughing because O.J. may have had 364 really good days that year, but if in fact he did the murders, that was one very, very bad day.
Richard, this is Patrick Van Horn. Barry Scheck had a chance to come on this afternoon before the lunch break to discuss the scientific evidence. Now, he's had a lot of altercations with Judge Ito in the course of this trial. How is the jury reacting to Scheck now?
I think Barry Scheck is doing one very, very good thing. He's talking informally to the jury, and I think they respond to that, and I think they like his fire, they like his quick mind and his animation. But I think that the major effectiveness on the defense side is going to be that Johnny Cochran religious, spiritual, soulful appeal.
Richard, there's one other thing that we're all curious about here at Day and Date, and we were wondering about this morning, and that is, could there be mock juries either for the defense or the prosecution? When the day is over, they go up and they have a group of consultants, or maybe a focus group of some sort, and they say, how did this play today? What should we do tomorrow? Is that happening?
I'd bet on it, and it doesn't normally happen, but the amount of resources that both the defense team and the prosecution have for this case is enormous, and I think that they're very clearly taking the time to find out what's going on, because you really can't tell. You can't talk to these 12 jurors, so the focus groups that they would be setting up, I think, are very important to them, and you'll see Johnny Cochran, when he comes back after Barry Scheck, utilizing that information.
Is that a common practice?
No. No, it's not a common practice just simply because of resources, but when you have lots of money, it is common, and that's one of the things that Joellen Demetrius has become very famous for, really making a scientific process out of getting inside those jurors' heads, but it doesn't normally happen.
Richard Green, always insightful. Thank you very much. We're going to check in with you later.
Okay.
Okay.
We can tell you one thing for sure about the jurors. They have not gotten rich from this trial,
They certainly have not. I mean, this is a trial that is expected to cost over $8 million, and this jury's been sequestered for 261 days now, and for each of those days, they've gotten $5 apiece.
Oh, boy.
Add that up. I know. Yeah, I mean, who works for that? So add it up, it's $1,305 for the honor of being kept away from the real world, but they are going to make a difference no matter what way they go with this case.
Of course, that's not factoring in book deals. You always have to factor in that, and I'm sure there will be a lot of those when this is done.
Right. That'll be their expense account if they decide to write a book or something.
That's right. There is much more still ahead on Day and Date, so don't go away. Here's a look at what's coming up.
Next, live on Day and Date, it's cool, calm, collected Andrew Shue like you've never seen him before. Only on Day and Date.
I just want a private life, right?
Are your kids under siege at school? We look at sex harassment in the classroom. Dr. Nancy Snyderman reports on the little pill making big news today.
Many advances in the fight against tooth and gum disease remain a mystery to dogs. Happily, there's delicious Milk-Bone dog biscuits. Milk-Bone not only cleans teeth, it's clinically proven to help fight harder buildup. Give your dog something to smile about. The effective use of dental floss is something of an enigma to dogs. Happily, there's delicious Milk-Bone dog biscuits. Milk-Bone not only cleans teeth, it's clinically proven to help fight tartar buildup. Give your dog something to smile about.
Maybe once in my life.
Ah, come on.
All right, twice.
Never. How often do you change long-distance companies? What's the point? They're all the same. Now there actually is something worth changing for. How's that? Sprint Cents. On top of 10 cents a minute, you'll get cash back every year you're with Sprint.
This is called money.
10 cents a minute and some cash back?
Great, thank you.
Good idea. Yeah, I would like cash back. Who wouldn't? It pays to save. Sure beats making money the old-fashioned way, doesn't it?
Call for 10 cents a minute evenings and weekends. Now with cash back.
Tonight at 6, Francisco Del Rey cuts a deal in court. He was accused of causing this deadly accident 2 years ago and faced up to 50 years in prison. Now, will he spend any time behind bars? Find out more about this surprising plea bargain tonight at 6.
What's happening behind the big screen? Who's in step with music's hottest numbers? What's really rumbling inside TV? Geraldo has the headlines. If it's next week's gossip, then it's on this week's celebrity news. Next, Geraldo.
Tomorrow at 9 on 4 South Florida.
This is Blockbuster's biggest sale ever. Newman, double feature, sir. 2 movie rentals, popcorn, and 2 bottles of Coke for $6.99. Good. Movies, games, I want everything on sale. Hey, we're 10 years old for crying out loud.
The 10th anniversary sale at Blockbuster Video.
HBO Video presents a romance for everyone who ever thought the person they loved was out of their reach.
You really know who you are, don't you?
Of course I do.
Chris O'Donnell, Circle of Friends, rated PG-13.
Sort of continuing on Angela Bassett's theme there, is Andrew Shue experiencing a little foot and mouth disease today? Robin Carter, the diva of Dish, has details.
Good afternoon, everybody. You know he's TV's Mr. Nice Guy, but Melrose Place star Andrew Shue is showing off a different side of himself, taking on the paparazzi in Los Angeles last night, and you are seeing it here first. Shue went ballistic when photographers tried to snap shots of the Melrose hunk with his fiancée as they were leaving a movie premiere. Shue also refused to sign autographs for fans, and as he attempted to shoo away photographers as he walked to his car, he had a few choice words for them. Listen in.
You know what? We don't want our lives all over the place. I just want you guys to go away. No, I just don't want pictures of us. I'm not going to pose. I'm not going to touch any of you. I'm not going to talk to any of you. I just want a private life, all right? Then don't go to a premiere.
Whoa. Wow. As the paparazzi said, you know, don't go to a premiere if you don't want to be photographed.
That's the whole purpose.
Do you think he didn't like the movie? Would that have been it?
Just put him in a bad mood. You know, first Tony Danza, now Andrew Shue. And now on to the other Hollywood battle, not the one that involves the paparazzis, the one between Jay Leno and former Tonight Show band leader Branford Marsalis. Branford says today he is very upset that he was quoted in an Indiana paper saying that he despised ex-boss Jay Leno. Marsalis says he was just joking, giving a sarcastic answer to a ridiculous question. He says this is not the way he feels about Jay, and he feels very used by the reporter. But the newspaper reporter says he is standing by the story. He said he's listened to the taped interview a couple of times, and he did not interpret it as sarcastic.
Yeah. I have to be a character witness for the prosecution, or for the defense here. I know Branford. Branford and I happened to get friendly when I was working for Eyewitness Video for NBC and he was doing The Tonight Show. Then we worked in the studios opposite each other. Branford is the nicest guy on earth. I can't believe that he would say something like this and mean it. It had to have been in jest if he said it at all.
Well, that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
so
I believe him.
Stay tuned. We'll see what happens on that one. Well, he's the bad boy singer who can't stay out of trouble. Whitney Houston's estranged husband, Bobby Brown, and this time the trouble turned deadly. Somebody opened fire on Brown's cream Bentley outside a bar in Boston early today. Take a look at this videotape. Bobby Brown, now there he is running in the white shirt. Bobby Brown was not hurt, but his sister's fiance was shot in the head and chest and died a few hours later. Bobby was standing outside the car at the time, and here's the incredible part of this story. Sources tell me that the reason that Bobby was not inside the car is because somebody stopped him to sign an autograph. Bobby signs it and drops the pen, bends down to pick up the pen, which is when I'm told the shooting began. So what an incredible story. Bobby, incredibly lucky. Whitney Houston is in New York. That, by the way, was her Bentley, which was riddled with bullets. So far, we've gotten no comment from Whitney. Well, the world is full of married men. Well, at least not for Jackie Collins, and the blockbuster author of such hot reads as Hollywood Wives and Hollywood Husbands is getting a new husband of her own. Jackie Collins has just gotten engaged to an LA real estate man. And here's how Jackie tells us it happened. They've known each other for years, but the morning of the big LA earthquake, he called Jackie to see if she was all right because he knew she was alone, and they decided to have dinner that night, and the rest is romantic history. And you know, this is great news for Jackie because her husband of 20 years passed away about 3 years ago, and they were very close. So, you know, I'm just so happy for her that she's found somebody to share the rest of her life with, and no wedding date, though.
Nice to hear good news, too. Yeah, that's great.
So that's the dish of the day.
All right,
Well,
thanks
we'll
for the
take it.
gossip, Robin, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All righty, you're watching Day and Date for this Thursday, September 28th. Here's a look at still what's ahead.
Coming up live on Day and Date, Dr. Nancy Snyderman reports on the new miracle in your medicine cabinet. Meet the parents going all the way to the White House to find their missing son. Barbie goes bi-level. We'll take you to a real dollhouse for a personal townhouse tour.
Oh, boy.
What?
Your mom's not using an ordinary sponge, is she? That's not good.
Why?
Well, germs and odor-causing bacteria build up in an ordinary sponge with each use.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, only the new Ocello Stay Fresh sponge improves the cleaning process by killing germs in the sponge through hundreds of uses. Roll the demo, please.
Ugh, look at the germs.
You getting all this, Red?
Wow.
Ocello, because germs don't belong in your sponge.
Grass. But Julia Murray is doing something her allergies and the pollen never let her do before. She's watching one of the finest 9-year-olds ever to play the game. Thanks to Benadryl, the histamine blocker. It actually blocks the histamine that triggers allergic reactions. Take Benadryl and take back your life.
Almighty Helios, the fire that severs day from night, about to unleash its vibrant spirit in the Festival of the Sun. A day when thoroughbred speed and fury burns with excitement, striving for victory in 6 sizzling stakes worth over $1 million. The Festival of the Sun, it's racing hot. This Saturday at Calder Racecourse.
Another day, another hope.
Is it pizza?
Another sandwich.
Oh. Wouldn't be pizza, would it? Oh. You know, pizza would be really good. Ooh.
We got the hint. Introducing Lunchables Pizza. 3 real crusts with all the toppings. Fun to make and eat. No need to heat.
Pizza? Thanks, Mom.
New Lunchables brand pizza from Oscar Mayer.
Is it pizza?
Lunch will never be the same.
New benefits today from aspirin. They are definitely not just for headaches anymore. Now they could help ease a heart attack. Day and Date's health reporter Dr. Nancy Snyderman is live in San Francisco with the latest on this. Hi, Dr. Nancy.
Hi, Dana. Boy, this little wonderful power pill aspirin continues to get a lot of press, and there's good reason. This study today comes from the medical journal Circulation, published by the American Heart Association. Now, we already knew that aspirin can reduce your risk of heart disease, but this research shows that if you do have a heart attack, aspirin can prevent permanent damage to the heart. The study looked at people who were admitted to the hospital with heart attack or stroke symptoms. Of the patients who had taken aspirin in the week before the heart attack, half had no permanent damage to their heart. The other half of the patients who were taking aspirin had 50% less damage to the heart when compared to people who had not taken aspirin. So we can now add this benefit to the list of pluses for aspirin. As you know, it helps prevent heart disease and stroke. And earlier this month, we reported that it can also reduce your risk of colon cancer. It's one of those medications that I've always said, if you tried to get it approved today, the FDA would be screaming and crying, and it would cost so much more than it does. It really is a wonder drug.
It certainly is. So how much should we take? And should someone my age take it?
Well, it's interesting. I think you have to individualize. I take it. I have a family history of cancer of the colon, although I have no heart disease risks. I think the overall, it has to be individualized, but I do it. Now, if you decide you're going to do it, you have to do it with your doctor's okay and knowledge, and then either take a baby aspirin every day or an adult aspirin every other day. That's sort of the standard recommendation. But again, it should be individualized. And remember that aspirin can cause some stomach upset, sometimes bleeding, And you should always let your doctor know that even though it's an over-the-counter medication, it's still a real medication.
All right. Great news there. Thanks, Nancy.
You bet, Dana.
My parents take an aspirin every day. And I guess now that I've hit that 4-0 age, it wouldn't hurt for me to do that. But
check it out with your doctor.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Attention all Barbie fans. Day and date is about to get all dialed up. Just ahead, we'll go live to FAO Schwartz Toy Store in New York City for a look at the all-new Barbie doll duplex. But first, let's catch up on the latest news for Thursday, September the 28th.
This is News 4 Right Now.
Good afternoon, I'm Cambrell Marshall. Here's what's happening right now. Metro Police are investigating a homicide at this hour after the body of a man was found next to a rock quarry near Miami Lakes. And police say the man had a single gunshot wound behind his right ear. A News 4 crew was on the scene and we'll have more details as they become available. The teenager charged in a deadly accident on South Dixie Highway that killed 3 people nearly 2 years ago will not go to trial. Francisco Del Rey has accepted a plea deal from the prosecution where he will serve less than 4 years in prison. It looks like we can expect a very wet afternoon. Meteorologist Bob Soper is here now with the Earthwatch forecast. Bob?
Well, Cambrell, right now it is raining around many parts of South Florida. Fort Lauderdale 82, Miami 79, Beach 70, Miami 78, the beach is 79, 80 in Kendall, 83 in Key West. Winds currently out of the northeast at 5, relative humidity 88%, barometer 29.91, and it's steady. Color radar shows a whole bunch more moisture coming up. This all because of a trough that extends all the way out to the Yucatan Peninsula and Tropical Depression 17. We'll talk about that more later. Our forecast for tonight, take your umbrella. Rainy skies. It's going to be about 80 degrees, and don't expect much let up in our on and off rain right through tomorrow. Cambrell?
All right. Thank you very much, Bob. Look for our next update in about 20 minutes. We'll see you then.
South Florida.
CBS is for South Florida.
For the top stories.
For the heck of it.
For acting your age.
I'm for sunny smiles.
By this, what are you looking at?
It's what I live for.
Throughout October at Builders Square, you can buy a First Alert Smoke Detector 2-pack and then help meet a very special need in your community when you leave one of the smoke detectors with us. Your local fire department will distribute the smoke detectors to families in need. And as a thank you for your donation, you'll receive a coupon good for 10% off your next purchase at Builders Square. Of course, chances are good that you'll be saving a whole lot more.
Hey! Hi, I'm Bob from FPL.
Bob, hi, could you give me a lift?
Sorry, forgot my car.
Thanks, Bob. Wow, are you strong?
Hi, I work for the power company.
Yeah.
Hey, working out can be a lot harder in the summer heat, huh?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, well, your air conditioner has to work a lot harder, too, but there is something you can do.
What's that?
Call 1-800-DIAL-FPL for a free summer comfort kit.
Oh, free. Sounds cool.
It is. It's full of ways to stay cool this summer without overworking your AC.
Oh, I don't like to overwork anything.
Hey, how much you got on there?
Not much. Give her a try.
I got my own.
Wow, you are buff.
Fruit juicy. Suddenly, from Hawaiian Punch, Typhoon Blasters in 3 wild flavors. Torrentially tasty orange, bursting bunches of grapes, and furiously fruity tropical fruit with vitamin C and calcium. They're more nutritious than the leading fruit drink.
Hey, how about a nice Hawaiian Punch?
Sure.
Typhoon Blasters, flavors with punch.
There are rewards for heroism, the arts, and sports. But if you're not good at that stuff, now there's a reward for, well, shopping. Introducing Mall Perks, where anything you buy gets you points towards huge discounts on merchandise, travel, and entertainment. Are we buying your loyalty? Absolutely. Mall Perks, the reward for shopping. At Miami International, Coral Square, and Cutler Ridge Malls. Barlow Managed Properties.
Florida, parents of a missing 10-year-old boy are taking the search for their son all the way to the White House. Claudine and Dawn Rice's little boy Jimmy has been missing since September 11th, the day he stepped off a school bus on his way home from school in Homestead, Florida. The Rices have called police and the FBI for help, and now they're calling the president because they say more help on a national level is what's needed for missing kids. Don and Claudine join us live from their home in Florida. First of all, how is the search going? What's the latest, Don?
Patrick, from everything we hear, they're still looking. There's no lead that's focusing on any one avenue, and it's about where it was 2 weeks ago.
Claudine, you have contacted now the FBI, or at least they've contacted you, local police authorities. What more do you think needs to be done?
Well, I think that we've had calls from other law enforcement agencies in Florida, and they don't even have a picture of Jimmy yet. Some places in Florida don't even know a crime's been committed, much less have a picture.
And is that why you've tried to contact the president?
Yes, we think that for children like Jimmy under 12 years of age, endangered innocents, it's not a family kidnapping now. This is just a stranger kidnapping. We think that within 24 hours, a picture ought to automatically go out across the United States to all law enforcement agencies, and public announcements should be made in the media for these children.
Don, have you gotten any response from the White House? And what would you like the president to do?
No, we haven't gotten any response yet. And what we'd like the president to do, and anyone else in the national government to do, is to make immediate changes so that children in the position of our son, who is, as Claudine said, an endangered innocent, that the search can be immediately and automatically extended nationwide for such a child.
We are looking at some video at this moment of the search as it's going on. How many volunteers are involved?
Well, it started out with probably hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteers physically searching the geographic area here for Jimmy or for large pieces of evidence like his clothes or something like that. That effort is pretty much over, and any physical searches are being done by the police alone. The other thing that volunteers have been doing is posting reward posters of Jimmy, color reward posters, and we've tried to plaster the entire South Florida area. Unfortunately, what we're discovering, as late as last night, someone from Orlando that I know called me and told me that hardly anyone in Orlando even knows about this story.
And that's just a few miles to the north of you.
That's 200 miles away.
By now, Jimmy, even by car, could be in Alaska. We feel like for children that are under 12 like that you know it's not a family kidnapping, we're both the biological parents of Jimmy, that his picture should go out immediately, within 24 hours at least, to all law enforcement agencies in the United States. His picture should be required to be posted in public places like parks, post offices. Where's some of the other places we thought of?
We're going to have to go. We're running out of time. Don, Claudine, thank you for joining us. You have our prayers and our best wishes, and I hope the president does come through for you and at least talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
You bet.
Thank you.
If you have any information about Jimmy Ryce, you can call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and that phone number is 1-800-THE-LOST. And, of course, that number works out to 1-800-843-5678.
Wow. Well, another parent's heartache is over today. It's a case of a missing child, a 13-year-old girl from Utah who disappeared just before a scheduled appearance on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. Well, she was found today. Police have arrested a 22-year-old Brooklyn man and charged him with kidnapping and rape in connection with the teenager's disappearance. And today, Sally and the mother appeared at a police news conference. Sally blasted the news media for not taking the girl's disappearance seriously.
For 3 weeks, we've had people who wouldn't believe us, who thought this was some kind of craziness.
Well, however, contrary to what Sally claims about the media, Day and Date was one television program that did want to publicize this case. In fact, a producer from our staff spoke to the mother of the missing girl on Sunday, September 10th, and the mom agreed to do an interview on our show the very next day. Well, moments later, a woman identifying herself as a producer for Sally told us that the mother was under contract to the Sally show and that Day and Date and the mom would be sued if she appeared on our show. Needless to say, the mom backed out of doing the interview with us, depriving her, her missing daughter, and the Sally Show of some very valuable national attention. Now, if Sally has anything else to say about this, we'd be happy to have her on our show to talk about it.
Still ahead, live on Day and Date. Model Nikki Taylor gets all dolled up as Barbie and takes us on a tour of her new townhouse.
My asthma struck as my daughter started crying. It wasn't the time to try some unknown brand. I trust Primatene.
It starts to open clogged breathing passages in as fast as 15 seconds.
She depends on me. I depend on Primatene Mist.
Fastest type asthma relief without a prescription.
Potatoes, not exactly perfect. Try the great new flavors of Shake and Bake Perfect Potato Seasoning Mixes. New home fries and new Parmesan peppercorn. For potatoes your family loves, it's simple. They want Shake and Bake.
When gas pain, pressure, and bloating tie you in knots, don't make the antacid mistake. Take this little pill instead. Maximum Strength Phazine. There's more gas relief in one Phazine soft gel than in a whole bottle of regular Maalox. All this Maalox can't get rid of gas, but with the liquid medicine in just one Phazine soft gel, the gas is gone. Take Phazine, and the gas is gone.
Before you settle down and nestle in for the winter, take advantage of ADT's Free for Fall sale. Now's the time to help keep your family safe and sound year-round with an ADT home security system. Because if you call now, you'll get all these free extras. Free 2 months of electronic monitoring by ADT security professionals who watch over your home 24 hours a day. Free one-touch alert buttons, a quick way to get help notifying the police or fire department in an emergency. Free relocation. If you ever move, we'll reinstall a standard system free anywhere in the country. ADT Home Security is even risk-free. Try it for 6 months with ADT's exclusive money-back guarantee. Now there's no reason to wait. Call for a free security review and get all these free extras from America's #1 security company when you install SafeWatch Plus from just $99. But hurry, when fall's over, our sale ends. So call ADT today.
Here it is, folks, the moment you've been waiting for. You're looking inside the all-new two-story display, 2,800 square feet, featuring, of all things, Barbie, here at the world-renowned FAO Schwarz toy store in New York City. Supermodel Nikki Taylor kicked off the grand opening of this ultimate place to shop for all things Barbie with a glamorous fashion show featuring famous Barbie outfits of the 50s and 60s, a living Barbie. Joining us live is Diana Troop, the head fashion designer for Barbie for the past 20 years. Well, this has got to be exciting for you, Diana.
It's just incredible. I'd love to take you on a tour of the Barbie townhouse.
Well, can you show us a little bit of stuff, what you've got in there?
We've been experiencing an incredible phenomenon with adult women collecting Barbies, and I'm in the Barbie collectible boutique here at FAO Schwarz. This is the Barbie doll that Nikki Taylor modeled last night, and it's one of the most beautiful dolls that we've ever done. This doll is $29. Isn't she pretty?
She sure is.
She's
What's
got
that red dress next to her?
This red dress is Queen of Hearts, and it was designed for Barbie by Bob Mackie.
Wow.
Isn't it stunning? All this is hand-beaded.
That's unbelievable. Now, if I wanted to buy that, what would it cost?
This doll costs $200, but we have Barbie product that ranges in price from $5 to $250, so it's accessible to anyone.
Now, Diana, you mentioned, though, that women 25 years and older are buying Barbie. This is a new phenomenon.
It is. It's been something we've been experiencing for the past 4 years.
What do you think it is?
I think it's adults have generations of grown-up women have grown up with Barbie, and what they're wanting to do is to have the little girl come out inside them and play once again. And I think that's the reason that they're collecting these dolls. Plus, they're absolutely beautiful.
How old is Barbie now?
Barbie has been in the marketplace for 35 years, but she's not 35 years old in the hearts and minds of children and women.
Well, we're the same age. I don't look like, you know, I don't have that kind of body. What
She
else
is
have
a
you got?
doll, after all. We also have these darling bags and different product by Nicole Miller, who's a fabulous fashion designer. This is a cute little bag that we have, and it's a trendy little backpack that you can just put on your back and walk down Madison Avenue and look totally cool. And this is $160.
That's fabulous.
Isn't it darling?
How does Barbie compete nowadays in this world of overexposure and so many toys for little girls and boys?
I think the thing that makes Barbie so special is that a little girl can play with Barbie in any way she wants to. She can imagine whatever she dreams up, and that's what how she can play, and I think that's just a timeless play pattern for little girls.
Well, you've gone into and we just saw a picture of the multicultural Barbies.
Yes, these are our these are our Dolls of the World collector, and these are very popular with little girls. We have the Native American Barbie, Irish, Polynesian, and our beautiful black doll, which is Kenyan Barbie.
She's beautiful.
Aren't they pretty? And there's a tremendous attention to detail here.
So you expect Barbie to have a resurgence this Christmas season?
Oh, we're very popular every Christmas, and I think this is going to be our biggest years because we have our adult product right now.
All right, Diana, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a little tour of the Barbie house.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All righty. Well, just in case you didn't think Barbie was a real popular item, here are some fun Barbie facts. Believe it or not, according to Mattel, 2 Barbie dolls are sold every second somewhere in the world. And move over Imelda Marcos because Barbie has more than 1 billion pair of shoes. Unbelievable.
Is Ikana? Oh, no. I know this is a big deal. Is Ikana your daughter? Is she a Barbie fiend?
No, not yet.
Not
I mean,
yet.
she's been given a couple Barbie-like dolls, but she doesn't have a Barbie.
Were you a Barbie fiend?
Not really. I mean, I had a Barbie, but I was very much a tomboy, and, you know, I mean, I played with dolls. My brother had a Ken doll, and sometimes we'd get together and they'd go out on dates and stuff. But as far as Barbie having an overwhelming impact in my life, But, you know, I was never a girl who, like, dreamed of having that big wedding thing and having that, you know, that's a Barbie life. You know, maybe if I'd have had more Barbies, I'd have had, you know, a big wedding or something.
I know grown men who collect Barbies because they're such collectibles. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Oh, no, some of these Barbies are worth a lot of money. I mean, if you have one of the original 35-year-old Barbies, even though she's not 35, it's worth quite a bit of money.
We'll be right back.
Just ahead, live on Day and Date, a special look at sexual harassment and school kids. What happens when children abuse children?
If you've been drinking Ensure, there's a little something you should know. Sustacal has more protein, less fat, and about twice as much calcium. No, Sustacal can't add years to your life, but it might help add life to your years.
Oh, I could use as much as you want to give me.
Could you use a little extra cash these days?
How's that?
I could use a lot of extra cash. I like cash.
Who wouldn't?
What do I have to do?
It's easy. Just get Sprint Cents. Now, on top of 10 cents a minute, you'll get cash back every year you're with Sprint.
Thank you very much. It pays to stay.
$10 a minute and cash back.
I like it. Do you really like it?
I love it.
Of course, if you don't need the money, you can always stay with the other guys.
Call for 10 cents a minute evenings and weekends. Now with cash back.
Need a new mattress? Buy a Serta Perfect Sleeper.
Ooh, only at Mattress Giant. Ooh, only at Mattress Giant.
Can I get some milk, please?
She got the last one.
Excuse me, I'll be right back, okay?
Only 2 specials. All right, let's not take half of the bag, huh? You become a sweet taste in my mouth. And I know you're gonna. Oh, yeah.
Hi, sweet.
Got milk?
Check, please. Right
Friday, September 29. He's one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but will he steal your heart? Discover Andy Garcia's secret passion.
I'd be honored.
Live with the latest, next day and date. Tomorrow.
Circumstantial case. If you can't trust the man who carried the blood, if you can't trust where this blood went, I mean, EDTA, missing blood. Coincidence? Corroboration. Something is terribly wrong.
You are live
Now I'd
inside
like
the
to
LA
move
Criminal Courts building. Barry
the
Scheck has
blood drops
resumed
found
the
in front of
defense's closing arguments at this hour.
And
he is blasting the
there are
prosecution
two
for
aspects
sloppy
of
police
examining
work,
this
even
evidence.
hinting that they fabricated evidence
First
like
has
the
to
bloody
go to the
gloves.
integrity of
We
the
will go live now with our jury consultant and lawyer Richard Green in front of the LA courthouse. Richard, how is he going to accomplish what he is setting out to do? What do you think he'll do?
Well, I think he's just going to walk the jury through all of the inconsistencies with respect to the forensic evidence, and he's very good at it. He's got lots of conviction. He's speaking very personally to the jury, and I think they're responding. What I heard when I went into the courthouse was that the jurors are very much paying attention to Barry. They're taking a lot of notes, especially when he goes through the information that he puts on the boards, and I think he's having a good effect for the defense.
He can be very abrasive, and in fact, yesterday we talked about the fact that at times when Chris Darden was making a point, over Chris Darden's shoulder, you could see Barry Scheck making a face.
Yeah, he can be abrasive in person as well. His courtroom demeanor is a little different than his regular person demeanor. He's a real loose cannon, but a real street fighter, and I think that that's one of the reasons he's been so successful.
Richard, earlier we heard in this broadcast, we heard from Fred Goldman, Ron Goldman's father. We are now going to hear from a member of O.J. Simpson's family, his sister Carmelita Dorio.
I think it's time for everybody to wake up and realize that we are in a for real world, and we have dealt with racism all our lives, every single day. And if someone cannot accept the fact that we have Mark Furmans walking around in this world who has collected all of the vital evidence, and they say that he is not important in this case, they're living in a...
Suspect, he is described as a white, possibly Latin male with a muscular build, 35 to 40 years old, 5'8", weighing 155 pounds. Now, if you have any information, you are urged to call Metro-Dade Crime Stoppers at 471.
Missing persons show. Jimmy was last seen more than a month ago now when he was dropped off at the bus stop near his home. Since then, dozens of tips have been phoned into Crime Stoppers. That, by the way, is where NBC6 reporter Sandra Peebles is with the very latest. Sandra.
That's right, Jose. This afternoon, the phones have been ringing here with possible tips in the search for Jimmy Ryce. And once again, as you just heard, he is the 10-year-old boy who was last seen when his school bus dropped him off just blocks away from his Redlands home. Today, there's new information that police hope will lead them to Jimmy Ryce. For nearly a month, the intense search for Jimmy Ryce has turned up nothing, until now. Police are looking for this suspect, one of the most solid leads they've had throughout this entire investigation. A tipster has come forward after seeing Jimmy's story on America's Most Wanted.
She saw the kid. She saw that the kid was kind of like sad type of feeling, and then she proceeded to look at the car, get the information, and then called it in.
The car she saw is described as a 1977 Chevy Camaro with chalky red primer and a rear spoiler. The mother of Jimmy's friend says she may have seen the same car the night of the disappearance.
We saw a red car, a red Camaro, and it was backed into the grove, and we could see the front of the car, and the windows were all fogged up.
Leslie Seatsma and her husband were traveling down this road when they spotted the red Camaro in this avocado mangrove. Now, they didn't think much of it at the time, but now that the information matches the tip coming out of Key West, they hope it's the clue they need to find Jimmy. Currently, 6 detectives are in Key West looking for the suspect, who the tipster describes as a white male, possibly Latin, 30 to 34 years old, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. He is well-built and well-groomed.
They're following every bit of information. They're interviewing the tipster. They're talking to neighbors. They're talking to the Key West Police Department. So we're out there trying to locate Jimmy.
Now, police ask that if you have any information regarding Jimmy Ryce, that you call Crime Stoppers at 471-TIPS. That's Crime Stoppers 471-TIPS, and that car could have been painted a different color, so if the clues seem even minimal, police are asking that you please call. Reporting at Metro-Dade Police Headquarters, I'm Sandra Peebles, NBC6.
Sandra, are they still concentrating their search in Key West, or has it moved north?
Well, they're currently, the last word we heard, that there were 6 investigators in Key West, and once again, they are asking questions not only of the tipster, but of anyone
West Marina. When police went there today, they thought they had a match, but the tipster said it was not the same person she saw the day before. Police say they will, of course, keep looking. Metro-Dade County Commissioners are also trying to get the word out about little Jimmy. Tonight, Commissioners approved a resolution that would allow police to broadcast public service announcements concerning him. They are trying to beef up awareness in the latest tip.
Now, Jimmy's parents are praying for help. Tonight, maybe you can help bring him home.
I've been telling you, Jimmy's alone. Jimmy's not really alone, I've come to realize. I'm sure God has taken his hand, and he is helping Jimmy to endure.
Jimmy's family has tried to endure the last few weeks without their energetic and cheerful little boy, but now there's new hope. A caller to our hotline reported seeing Jimmy in Key West, Florida.
The tipster indicated that they lived in the Key West area and that several days ago they had observed Jimmy Ryce.
This police composite of Jimmy's abductor is based on the tipster's description. He's possibly a white or Latin male in his mid to late 30s. He has a muscular build and wears gold chains. The man and Jimmy were seen riding in a 1977 red primer-colored Chevrolet Camaro with a rear spoiler and Florida plate. They were spotted near the Garrison Bight Bridge just outside of Key West. Jimmy vanished on September 11th after his school bus dropped him off a few blocks from home. Now his parents recall a troubling conversation they had with Jimmy just 1 week earlier when strangers stopped to ask him for directions.
He argued with me that, well, they weren't the kind of people to do anything bad. And I said, well, they may not be really totally bad, Jimmy. I said, they may just want a little boy of their own. They might want you, and I don't want to lose you.
Jimmy's family had prayed that Jimmy would be home for his 10th birthday last Tuesday. Instead, they celebrated without him, surrounded by unwrapped presents and reading Jimmy's birthday cards.
Guess who thinks you're the greatest guy ever? Who thinks you're the greatest gift to the world? Who thinks you could be the future president of the United States? Mom.
Jimmy's room and belongings have been undisturbed, and his family hopes Jimmy will return home and fulfill his dream of becoming a major league ball player.
The one thing that we've got to do is just keep focused on finding Jimmy. We have to keep assuming that he's alive, and if we ever give up hope, how can we ask anyone else to keep looking for him?
Jimmy's parents desperately need your help. Jimmy was last seen wearing a white shirt, blue jean shorts, and black and white Nike tennis shoes. If you've seen Jimmy Ryce or the man resembling this composite, please call our hotline tonight at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Now, I want to stress, it's very unusual to get a break like this in the case of a missing child. So if you know anything
Buddy and Ryce were there collecting signatures today to send to President Clinton. They both want the president to bring awareness to the problem of missing children.
To get the people to sign these petitions that we're going to fax to the president directly, and our thought is if we can just get enough people to sign them and show the White House that enough people care about this issue.
Well, the Redlands boy mysteriously disappeared from his school bus stop. His parents, though, are still hoping, of course, for his safe return.
The Fox TV show America's Most Wanted is also lending a hand with this case. Tonight it aired the Jimmy Ryce story for a second time. The last time it ran, the show received several leads. One tip led police to Key West after someone said they saw Jimmy with the person in this sketch. However, that tip hasn't panned out.
Now, Eyewitness News reporter Gail Bright is in the Redlands once again this evening with the very latest on this investigation. Gail?
Well, Diane, it's something that the Ryce family has been asking for weeks now, and today they got it. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement released a public service announcement, among other things, that will be played on radio stations and televisions all across the state.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement and your local law enforcement agency need your help in locating Samuel James Ryce. Known as Jimmy to his family and friends, the 10-year-old boy has been missing from Homestead, Florida since September of this year, and he's believed to be in danger.
Public service announcements made by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement were released today on this 4th week of Jimmy's disappearance. A photograph of the 10-year-old boy is also being placed all over the state.
On the turnpike, at every toll booth on the turnpike, at all the state-operated rest areas, and all the post offices in the state of Florida, and all of our driver's license offices in the state of Florida, and we placed in the hands of every state law enforcement officer in Florida.
Does everybody have one? I hope they do.
Meanwhile, here in South Florida, new posters were printed with 2 pictures of Jimmy Ryce that before the week is over will no doubt be seen by many. And while grateful for the help Jimmy's family is getting from the state, they say it's still not enough.
We need to distribute these pictures nationally. Since we can't rely on the government to do it right now, we're having to ask national business organizations and chains and people from all over the country to please do it for us.
I miss him, and I wish that we could do something, anything to help.
It's as frustrating for Jimmy's friends as it is for his family. We're just kids, they told me. All we can do is pray.
I want Jimmy home. I want him home so bad. I know everybody's hoping for him, and I just want him home.
Well, while the Ryce family is grateful for having these engines and speeding around the track, Carlos.
Well, Anita, it was certainly a great day to go to the races, and people here in Homestead saw some of the finest racing anywhere. There was a fast and furious debut for the Homestead Motorsports Complex. The cars race by at 150 miles an hour, and for thousands, this is the best show in town.
I think it's real cool.
It was a great turnout for the inaugural of the Homestead Motorsports Complex. For Ralph Sanchez, it's a dream come true. South Florida is now a first-class racing area.
The Grand Prix is the season opener for the Indy cars. The NASCAR race is the season-ending race. So they're very significant. They're probably the most valuable races to have.
The facility is the only one of its kind in the world, built to accommodate all forms of racing. What do drivers think of it? Joe Nemechek holds the pole position in tomorrow's race.
This facility is just an awesome track. The competition, you know, like today, as you saw it, it's just so competitive.
Here is where you can really feel the power of these automobiles. The roar of the engine goes right through your body.
You feel the thunder of them cars roaring by. It's just fantastic. It's an awesome feeling. If people never been here before, they need to come at least once.
Well, some people here are calling this the track of the future, and it is huge. Get a load of this. It is big enough to accommodate 10 stadiums the size of Joe Robbie. It already seats 60,000 people with plans for an additional 60,000 seats, and in March, several air-conditioned suites will be installed. Now, getting down here, it's pretty easy. If you're coming down on the Florida Turnpike, just look for these 3 exits, 137th Avenue, Campbell Drive, or you can go to the end of the Turnpike to Florida City and follow the signs to the Speedway. Now, on a more serious note, Jimmy Ryce's parents are out here at the racetrack using the opportunity to get the word out about their missing son. Dawn and Claudine Ryce spent the day at a display booth in the exhibition tent. In addition to Jimmy's picture, they handed out posters and flyers, hoping someone out there will see Jimmy and phone in a lead. There you see the booth here in Homestead. Well, now, for people down here in Homestead who have gone through Hurricane Andrew, they hope that this will be their field of dreams. They've built it, and now they hope people will come. With more on that part of the story, Lisette Campos is out here with me live. Lisette?
Carlos, not only are they hoping that people will come, they hope that they'll bring along their big fat wallets filled with lots of spending money. Business owners all over South Dade say that thanks to the Homestead Motorsports Complex, it is definitely Christmas time in November. We've got some great pictures to show you. The track is expected to pump $100 million a year into the local economy, and all the South Dade hotels are booked solid for this weekend's NASCAR races and for the weekend of the Miami Grand Prix set for March. Restaurants say they too have had a wave of customers, and take a look at this one bakery just outside the motorsports complex. They sold more than $500 in pastries this morning to local hotels catering to race fans. Business owners say the best part of the track is that it'll bring in the crowds all year long. Race car drivers will be here for their training, and the auto manufacturers will be testing out their new cars and the tires. But the residents say the thrill of it all is having their neighborhood known for something other than Hurricane Andrew.
Everybody's glad, you know, something has come to Homestead, you know, besides Andrew.
I think it's going to bring people to Homestead, put us on the map again.
After the storm, it was nothing, you heard nothing but down things about the storm. Storm this, storm that.
now we've got an upgoing thing, and it's we want to keep it that way.
Because business has been slow lately, and hopefully this will bring a lot more customers into our restaurant. And we will have a closer look at all the business excitement coming up at 11 o'clock. Back to you, Carlos.
Thanks, Lisette. It was certainly a lot of fun here today. Everyone we spoke to gives this facility rave reviews. They say it is one of the best places they've seen for auto racing anywhere. So it's pretty good. If you can, come on down here. And of course, tomorrow is the big race, and we'll be here again to bring it to you live. Back to you, Anita.
All right. Thanks very much, Carlos.
Time, his family has not given up hope that he'll be found. 7's Brian Andrews joins us live from the Redlands with the story tonight. Brian?
Well, good evening, Craig. Good evening, everyone. It's an anniversary that no one wants to remember. 2 months ago today, little Jimmy Ryce vanished, getting off the school bus not even a quarter-mile from his driveway. Since that time, hundreds of volunteers have been getting together to get the word and the description of Jimmy Ryce out all over the state. Several worked at the Miami Air Show in Homestead today. They were passing out photos and gathering signatures on a petition that asks President Clinton to post photos of missing kids at federal buildings and government offices all over the nation.
It took 4 weeks for the state of Florida to get Jimmy's picture across the state, and there's still 50 other states, 52 other states in the United States that we're not sure his picture is in, and the president could do this very easily.
Now, by the end of the day, volunteers at the air show tell us they were able to collect some 385 signatures. They'll return again tomorrow in an effort to collect more. Back out live now at the Ryce family home. We're joined by Jimmy's parents, Don and Claudine Ryce. Don, I understand that you're going to be taking this message nationally this week.
That's right. We've been invited to be on the Gabrielle show. We're very excited about that. And what we're hoping is that from that, other national media will pick up this story and get this nationwide search we've been hoping for going.
And you believe he's not in South Florida?
We don't know that he's not here, but until we look in other places, you know, we haven't even started the search there yet. And there's really no national news network yet that has carried the story. If Americans were given the opportunity and they have the heart that this...
Tell you about. Yet tonight, his family has not given up hope. 7's Brian Andrews is live in the Redlands now with the story. Brian.
That's right, Craig. 2 months and still no sign of Jimmy Ryce, but his family, friends, and others who have searched for him are not giving up hope.
I put him in my prayers every night.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Volunteers in the search for Jimmy Ryce work the Miami Air Show.
Hi, sir. Could you sign our petition?
The petition asks President Clinton to have the pictures of missing kids like Jimmy posted in federal buildings and government offices all over the nation.
It took 4 weeks for the state of Florida to get Jimmy's picture across the state, and there's still 50 other states, 52 other states in the United States that we're not sure his picture is in, and the president could do this very easily.
We firmly believe and we firmly hope that Jimmy is alive and out there, and we are going to find him, and we do want to bring him home.
Posters of Jimmy are all over South Florida.
Until Jimmy Ryce is found, keep these up.
They're also on the internet.
Anybody with a computer can get online and get a good poster of Jimmy with all the critical statistics.
The Ryce family spent the anniversary of their son's disappearance at home. In the backyard, Jimmy's fish pond. His mom says he used to feed the fish every day. Signs of Jimmy are everywhere.
If you were to lose a wallet with $1 million, would you just look in one room in your house? You'd cover the entire house until you found that wallet. That's all we're asking for our son, and he's priceless to us.
We're live outside the Ryce home in the Redlands. Mr. Ryce came out this evening and he told me that he's very happy with the local coverage of this story, but it needs to be picked up nationally. He says there's a very good chance that his son could be outside of Florida. Live in the Redlands, Brian Andrews, 7 News.
Brian, thank you very much. Well, as Brian just told us, there is now a computer hookup for...
The biggest hits, the biggest savings, featuring Corolla. Newly styled and refined. Now you can lease Corolla for a low $189 a month. $189 a month. That makes Corolla a hot ticket. Or save up to $1,350 when you buy or lease. That includes $600 cash back. Hey, you gotta love that cash back. Now showing the 1996 Toyotas. Get the picture? See your Toyota dealer now and save.
Forget high-priced lawyers. A lot of people in South Florida think the way to tilt the scales in their favor when it comes to justice in this town is to use potions and spells and voodoo.
Santeria priests and voodoo specialists try to ward off evil in the court of law by leaving dead chickens, roosters, sometimes even goats at the courthouse. 7's Lynn Martinez has more on this courthouse karma, and here is her special assignment report.
June 15th, and the Voodoo Squad is out picking up a dead chicken at the Metro-Dade Justice Building. Just another day's work for courthouse custodians.
Well, our Voodoo Squad is a group of people that work here in the building, and their job is to go out first thing in the morning and check around the building for any objects that might be out there.
Objects being dead animals. Mostly chickens, pigeons, and goats, and other offerings like beans, powders, charms, roots, even voodoo dolls.
Here's another. It was on May the 30th. There was a dove found, and eggs were found on the west side stairs. And this day we had voodoo powder in one of the judge's bench. That was a busy day.
The offerings are so commonplace, management has a checklist for them every day.
The southwest corner has been dubbed Chicken Central because that's where we get the bulk of the animals.
And the walkway between the jail and the courthouse is another place where workers have found a chicken in every spot. Carcasses meant as religious offerings of extra legal help to sway a judge, a jury, or prosecutor. Animal offerings are even more commonplace now after a 1993 Supreme Court decision allowing First Amendment religious freedom for Santeria sacrifices.
The animal sacrifices are done humanely, and then we do eat the meat, you know, 90% of the time. Sometimes we don't. What you're probably seeing is a mixture of all the religions like Wicca and Voodoo and Santeria, and from the islands, all the different cultures that live in Miami, and so they all practice whatever they do and take it to the courthouse.
On July 12th, this near-dead snake was found wriggling inside a courtroom, most probably an offering from a religion called Paulo. Andrea Inigo runs a shop that caters to various religions that sacrifice animals. MasterCard and Visa accepted.
Everybody drops things off, you know, because they have to go to where the problem is. Like if they blow a powder, they have to blow it where the judge is going to step on it.
Cascarilla, a Santeria powder of crushed eggshells, is often found inside a judge's chambers. In fact, former prosecutor Luis Casuso had a run-in with the powder while prosecuting a Santeria priestess.
We took a recess and we came back. Our chairs were covered with white powder, and you know, we didn't know what it was, and I got a nosebleed unrelated to it. And
his co-prosecutor had to finish the case.
I spent the rest of the closing argument with a roll of toilet paper at the counsel table, trying to stem the flow of blood, but she was convicted, so I guess it didn't work.
I treat everyone equally, and I don't let that type of nonsense get in the way of what I'm going to do in an individual case.
Practitioners say the courthouse offerings are simply a type of prayer.
It's legal, it's a religion, it's our right, like everybody else's right.
Lynn Martinez, 7 News.
Well, since the U.S. Supreme Court already ruled to allow religious freedom for animal sacrifices, really the only law broken at the courthouse may be littering, unless, of course, these animals are killed inhumanely. But practitioners claim the animals are killed quickly, the same way the slaughterhouses do it.
Still ahead tonight from the 7 News Flex, severe winter weather pummeling and paralyzing parts of Europe. We're going to have the latest pictures. We'll share them with you at 6:30.
Also at 6:30, a husband of a Republican congresswoman finally comes out of hiding. Hear what she has to say about this.
I'm health specialist Marilyn Mitchell. It appears wine is not the only liquor that is good for our hearts. I'll explain why in HealthCast.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Kamal. It will warm up this weekend, but another cold front comes down the pike, and the winter pattern is locked in the east. Details in a few.
Closed caption brought to you in part by City Furniture, the ultimate furniture store.
Let's look at the Magnum Power Sales event one word at a time. Magnum, as in Magnum Engines, as in Dodge Ram, ranked most appealing pickup by J.D. Power & Associates. Power, overall the most powerful line of truck engines on the planet. Sales, save on 5.2 and 5.9-liter V8s, up to $670, or $500 on Cummins diesel. And event, it's the first time America's hottest pickups have ever been on sale like this. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
I'm the shopper in the family. So I usually buy deli. This looks like it's a higher quality meat.
This one here is the Louis Ridge?
This is the one that I would like. It's got a real full flavor, and oh, this Louis Ridge turkey, wow. It's very moist. Tastes like one that's been baked in the oven.
It looks more like turkey that you'd serve at Thanksgiving.
This is good ham.
The texture, the taste, I would choose the Louis Ridge. I didn't know that Louis Ridge was available in the deli. You can't go wrong. It's Louis Ridge.
Child Watch. It's about investigating children's issues and finding solutions.
I'm 7 Child Watch specialist Gilda Unruh. You know, there's nothing more important than keeping our kids safe. My special reports help you do just that.
Important issues that affect our children. Special reports that help parents solve problems.
7 News Child Watch. It works.
Only on 7 News, South Florida's news station.
I'm Jessica Aguirre in the 7 Newsplex. Coming up at 6:30, we're following the story of a teenage girl who actually saved the life of a 1-week-old baby. You see, that girl called a 911 operator, and she talked her through a way to give CPR to that baby, and she actually saved the baby's life. We're going to give you all the details and let you hear that call for yourself. Coming up at 6:30.
The day ends. 10,000 workers head earthward, down through the 110 stories, leaving behind any thought of what will become of the 4 tons of paper they threw away today. Not to worry. A good recycling plan can overcome any obstacle, even the world's tallest. What business do we have saying we help the environment? That is our business.
Are you avoiding car shopping?
Hey, let's shampoo the cat.
We need to get our gerbil neutered. Okay?
Why, very cool. Take it out now.
Let's go to Fort Lauderdale Lincoln Mercury, where it's fun to buy a car. And there's always hundreds of Lincolns, Mercurys, and like-new used cars to choose from. Plus, we always beat all advertised prices, where the only thing lower than the price is the pressure.
Fort Lauderdale Lincoln Mercury.
Sunrise Boulevard, a mile and a half east of I-95.
So very nice.
And now, 7 Health Gas with Marilyn Mitchell.
Since most of us, including myself, are concerned about our weight, we thought you'd be interested in hearing about a new diet pill. Why it's a good idea to clean out our medicine cabinets from time to time. It seems that in addition to wine, other types of liquor are good for your heart. Plus, Rogaine may soon be sold over the counter. Most of us fight a losing battle against the bulge. Now an FDA advisory panel is recommending approval of a new drug to help fight obesity, the first one in more than 20 years. It's called dexvenfluramine. The drug stimulates a chemical in the brain, making people feel full so they'll eat less. But there are concerns because the drug caused brain damage in animals when given in very high doses. Still, the FDA usually follows the panel's recommendations. A new drug completely prevents monkeys from becoming infected with an AIDS-like virus. It's called PMPA. But researchers say no one should jump to conclusions that it will do the same in people. More research is needed. Prostate cancer is a concern for all the men in our lives, and now a new test can predict who is going to get the disease. It measures a protein in the blood. A high level of that protein means you're more likely to get prostate cancer. Seniors, once a year, you should clean out your medicine cabinet. Chances are there's at least one prescription drug that you shouldn't be taking anymore. Mixing drugs can be dangerous, so bring them to your doctor. He can tell you which ones to keep and which ones to throw out. Worried about losing your hair? Well, it may soon be easier to get treatment. The FDA is considering making the prescription drug Rogaine an over-the-counter product. But some doctors worry Rogaine may be misused. The drug is far from a miracle cure and doesn't work for everyone. An FDA advisory panel is recommending approval of Olestra, despite its potentially unpleasant side effects. The panel says it approved the artificial fat substitute because it meets the legal definition of a safe food ingredient. But it's concerned about Olestra's potential to act as a laxative. Final FDA approval is a few months away. Finally, we all know that drinking moderate amounts of red wine is good for your heart. Well, new research suggests that beer and hard liquor are equally effective at keeping the heart healthy. Alcohol raises your good cholesterol and prevents arteries from clogging. And that's HealthCast. I'm Marilyn Mitchell, 7 News.
All right, thanks, Mel.
Up next from the 7 Newsplex, for a while, investigators were hot on the trail of the infamous Unabomber, but that has all changed.
Some big-time politics being played out right here in the state of Florida. 7 News is there live. We're going to bring it to you at 6:30.
And on 7:30, they say love is blind, but judging by Antonio and Melanie, it's also forgetful. We'll explain it tonight's People News.
7 News brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers and by Bears for the best quality furniture and interior design.
Have you been fishing for a new automobile? Well, your South Florida Chrysler and Plymouth dealer offers you today's catch of the day. Chrysler LHS, the car that reshaped the luxury sedan. With standard 3.5-liter 24-valve engine, Chrysler Infinity sound system, dual airbags, ABS, and more. Now very catching with $2,500 cash back or 1.9% financing. So hook into the catch of the day. See your South Florida Chrysler and Plymouth dealer today.
If you owned Bears Furniture Showcases, how would you celebrate 50 years of quality, style, value, and customer service? Well, Bears has thought of 2 outstanding ways. First, they're giving you savings of up to 50% on every single item in all 9 Bears Showcases. And second, while you're at Bears, register to win 2 round-trip business class tickets to Israel on El Al, including 1 free week at a Mariah Hotel. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. For real value, where? Bears.
Which store has the lower-priced pet supplies? Our secret informants tell all.
You can Uber dog food at Pet Supermarket $8.99. The PetSmart price, $7.99. You save $1 a bag.
I am stock food. Pet Supermarket $14.29. The PetSmart price, $12.99. You save $1.30.
Case closed. PetSmart has lower prices than the competition and a whole lot more. Next week's expose, Poodle Pinups.
Ooh. His last movie sent Hollywood's biggest star to the moon. Now his latest flick lands the sexiest.
The guy's fantastic.
Director Ron Howard chats with 7:30 tonight.
WSBN presents the Winterfest celebration of the Continental Airlines Boat Parade along Fort Lauderdale's Intracoastal Waterway. The best seats for the Las Olas viewing area are on sale now, and they're going fast, so call this number today. And join us December 9th at the Winterfest Boat Parade. Brought to you by WSBN, these official sponsors, and Continental Airlines, more airline for your money. Ever since Hurricane Andrew, WSBN has been committed to Habitat for Humanity.
These 20 homes are all already occupied.
We really are helping these people.
1, 2, 3.
I'm Rick Sanchez. Think of it. Already 180 homes have been built, and that's just the beginning. With your help, by calling this number, we can do more. Building homes for a better South Florida. Habitat You and WSBN 7.
Now, time for 7 weather with Bill Kamal.
Let's jump ahead into next week since a lot of you might be traveling out of town. This is the temperature outlook for the nation as we get toward Thanksgiving. Still warm in the west and chilly in the east, near normal across the nation's midsection. Above normal precipitation in the Rockies, the southwest should be dry, and in the east, at least into the Tuesday and Wednesday period, it looks like a pretty big storm might give quite a bit of rain and snow to the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, and then rains over the southeast. We'll keep you updated. In fact, new information is coming in. We'll update this for you at 10 o'clock tonight as well. Right now, mostly cloudy and 72. Relative humidity 51%, winds northeast 15, gusting to 23. Kind of a gloomy day. We had our own private deck of clouds across southeast Florida. 71 right now in Key West. You've been in sunshine all day long. And the cool spot 53 in Jacksonville, reflecting that northeast wind and the chillier Atlantic waters. Just a few clouds across southeast Florida now, but look at all the moisture over parts of South Texas and the western Gulf. An upper level low causing all sorts of problems in the Lone Star State. That moisture is moving northeast. The high clouds might get part of the Gulf Coast, parts of north and central Florida. I think we'll pretty much miss that tomorrow. We may see a brief shower because of the onshore easterly flow. There's another low-pressure system over the lower Great Lakes. This is called an Alberta Clipper as it comes out of Alberta province, dives southeastward on the jet stream, and then looks like another rain and snow event for the northeast, and more rains and wind, kind of stormy in the Pacific Northwest. So here's the jet stream, the polar jet bringing that moisture and wind in the northwest, diving down into the nation's midsection. And there's that area of snow and rain mixed over the Midwest, that upper level low in Texas. All that will end over the weekend. But notice the trajectory of the jet stream again, warm in the west, and that big dip allowing the breezy and cooler air to come once again, reinforcing down in the southeastern U.S. There'll be an area of rain and snow over the northeast, not a big storm, not as big as the one we just saw, but could be another coastal event. It'll be cooler across the deep south, but we will be milder ahead of the next cold front. Now, this is the 5th weekend in a row where we're talking about a cold front here in South Florida. That'll come down the pike late in the weekend and cool things off beginning Monday. And again, there's the temperature profile for tomorrow. That cool air diving down in the east. We will be probably in the high 70s to near 80 tomorrow. We will warm up briefly before the next cold front comes down. And there's all that warm air in the west. 70s and 80s over the southwestern U.S. Hardly a cloud to be seen there. There's the Alberta Clipper moving to the northeast tomorrow. High pressure right now. All these clear skies across the mid-Atlantic and the southeastern states. And there's that moisture in the Gulf, which I think will pretty much miss us. And the low moves to the northeast over the next couple of days. It'll give a rain and snow event to New England, parts of New York State, Pennsylvania. We've got the high pressure, those ocean breezes, milder than the cold front for late Sunday and Monday. High pressure builds in, and we cool things off at the beginning of next week. Northeast winds 15 knots for you boaters. Seas 3 to 5 feet higher in the Gulf Stream tomorrow. Partly cloudy tonight. Could be a shower overnight in the 60s, maybe near 60 inland. Close to 80 tomorrow, not a bad Saturday. Couple of morning showers, can't rule those out. And even warmer on Sunday, and then the unsettled weather and the cooler air Monday and Tuesday. See you again at 6:30. Rick and Kelly?
All right. Thanks a lot, Bill.
That is 7 News at 6.
And that means 7 News at 6:30 is now coming your way.
Tonight on 7 News at 6:30, no sign of backing down in the budget battle.
This real balanced budget is doable. It is reasonable.
This budget is the wrong direction to go.
The House of Representatives, a house divided tonight. Now tonight, that canyon of dissent shuts down one of America's greatest landmarks. We take you live to the Grand Canyon. A stolen car and a suspect on the run make for a deadly car wreck. Questions surround a blaze that nearly cost one firefighter his life. And a major Republican debate descends on the Sunshine State. A live report from the Florida straw poll is coming your way next.
7 News brought to you in part by Mullinax Ford, your one-price volume discounter.
At Mullinax Ford South, you'll shop Florida's largest minivan selection with over 200 on sale in November. Now you can buy a new Aerostar with V6 power, airbag safety, and all this equipment for just $15,500 and save more with 7 3/4 financing. On Windstar, you can also get 7 3/4 financing, or for just $233 a month, you can lease this 96 Windstar with dual air, power windows and locks, and much more. Just $233 a month on a 2-year lease. Shop the November minivan sale and save at Mullinax Ford South in Margate.
Don't let interest payments cramp your style. This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, make no payments and pay no interest until $19.97 on audio and video products at Best Buy. Have your computer needs outgrown your old computer? This Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, make no payments and pay no interest until $19.97 on any computer with monitor at Best Buy.
It's the South's largest ever piano sale. You'll find hundreds of name brand pianos at unheard of low prices. Don't miss it this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Coconut Grove Convention Center.
Live from South Florida's news station, WSVN 7. This is 7 News at 6:30.
The yeas are 237, the nays are 189. The conference report is agreed to, and the motion to recommit is laid upon the table.
A new spending bill gets by the House and is now on the table as the White House gears up for yet another presidential veto. Good evening. The partial government shutdown is in its 4th day.
and appears to be headed for a fifth tonight.
Yeah, some 800,000 federal employees are out of work tonight. Democrats and Republicans continue their standoff on how to balance the federal budget and end the government's partial shutdown.
We're going to see this thing through. We're going to stand tall. We're not going to give in, and we're going to pass the Balanced Budget Act.
This is the most massive transfer of wealth we've ever seen in this country. A 7-year balanced budget is doable, but the policies and the duration need to be on the table.
There is no room for compromise on the concept of protecting America's future and no longer displacing the costs of what we are doing to future generations.
The burden will be on the president. We will have done our job. We will have proven that free people can work together, they can find a way to make tough decisions, and they can balance the budget to protect their children.
Despite the passage of a new spending bill, the president vows to veto the measure.
Well, the shutdown also means that the Grand Canyon will remain closed. Arizona's governor offered to use National Guard troops and other state workers to reopen that park, but officials in the Interior Department rejected that offer, leaving many unhappy campers who desperately want to see the site. Reporter Faye Fredericks with the story.
On the trail! Bikers prevail! We're going down the trail!
Actually, these protesters only made it as far as the Grand Canyon's South Rim entrance gate, but they did manage to attract a lot of attention, holding signs that read, "Newt is non-essential," and $3,500 sunk in the canyon.
We just decided not to roll over and do nothing. We're not activists. We've never protested before. We're just angry that things are not getting done in Washington.
14-year-old Meg Morley came here from Connecticut.
We were supposed to come here, and I took time off from school to come for a memorial service where my uncle his ashes were thrown, and can't do it anymore, you know, it's a waste.
What do you feel about that? You mad?
I'm very mad.
And so are a lot of other people who are being turned away from a national treasure.
My story isn't just upset. Washington has no right to do this. It doesn't make any sense.
You can't go to 64 yet. That road is open.
To calm visitors down, park rangers are offering them the option of driving along Highway 64, which runs along parts of the canyon and is still open.
If you look like this, it is a shame. There's so much beautiful here.
Of course, the most popular areas like Mather Point and the El Tovar Hotel are still closed tonight, as day 4 of the federal shutdown sinks the vacation plans of countless visitors.
That was reporter Faye Fredericks reporting.
Of course, we're not immune to parks closing right here in South Florida, so if you're planning a trip to the Everglades, you might want to change those plans. The federal budget impasse will force the park to close this weekend. Effective 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, operated facilities as well as the lodge, park campgrounds, tour boat, and boat rentals will be shut off. The overall economic impact of closing the park is not yet known. Keep it right here for continuing coverage of the government shutdown. We'll have the very latest from Washington, D.C. tonight on 7 News, first at 10.
Closer to home, a 9-year-old boy is dead, the innocent victim of a stolen car crash. Tonight, controversy is erupting over the police pursuit of that car. Police say the stolen Grand Prix slammed into another car at Northwest 10th Avenue and 58th Street in Miami last night. Police say they were following the stolen car, but they were 3 blocks away from it when it crashed. However, witnesses are telling a different story.
It was fast. It was fast. We could hear the tires all the way down from 7th Avenue. And it is against the law to chase like that, a high-speed chase.
The passenger in the stolen car was arrested by police, but the driver remains on the loose tonight. As for the other people, the 2 passengers from the other car, they're still in the hospital. Now, one is a pregnant woman who actually went into labor. She and her baby, though, are both in good condition.
Well, the trial is underway in the sexual assault case of a father and his 3-month-old son. Today, the baby's mother took the stand and told about the horrible discovery she made when she got home.
He just seemed lifeless almost. I mean, he was breathing and everything. He just didn't seem normal.
When you were changing the diaper, what did you see that caused you the concern?
I saw a bruise and a tear.
Where did you see the bruise and the tear at?
His rectal area.
Francisco Beltran admitted to police last year that he had had sex with the infant. Today, the baby is recovering from the injuries and living with his mother.
Police are now saying that they believe one person was responsible for the slayings of 3 Cracker Barrel employees in Naples. Now, this was a scene Wednesday morning after police discovered a man and 2 women
bound and left in a freezer. Autopsy results today came in and say that all three had their throats slashed by a person. One person, it's believed. Police believe that same person also robbed the place alone, dropping some of the money in a nearby field.
On to Tennessee, students returned to school 2 days after one of their own opens fire, killing a student and a teacher. Counselors and clergy were on hand today to help out. Police say a 17-year-old went to school Wednesday with the intent to kill teachers. The student opened fire in a crowded hallway before he was eventually wrestled to the ground. Tonight, there are reports another student has been arrested for aiding in that rampage.
Chicago, it is back to square one for investigators hunting down the elusive Unabomber. The Chicago Tribune reports that the trail has gone cold just 2 months after investigators thought they were making headway. Now, officials will reportedly begin going all over the evidence again collected since 1978, when the Unabomber's first bomb exploded on the campus of Northwestern University.
A close call for a fireman in Durham, North Carolina. Alan Needham of the Bahama Fire Department caught on fire while battling a blaze. Needham survived that, suffering only minor burns on his ear. The firefighter you see here and his wife got a chance to see the pictures of the scene. The fire department says the expensive gear he was wearing is partially responsible for saving his life.
Well, if you're using a U-Haul trailer, you may want to keep your children away from the door latch. A company memo says children who died in a U-Haul trailer this year were trapped by that door latch. Orlando police say they have evidence that a 1983 memo also outlines the dangers of those latches.
Straight ahead tonight from the 7 Newsplex, the nation's leading Republicans set to debate in the Sunshine State. Senior reporter Mark Lubner with a live report from the Florida straw poll when we come back.
And wicked weather across the pond, pounding parts of northern Europe.
Later on in sports, the Canes try to make it 13 straight years that they've appeared in a New Year's Day bowl. Deuces Rogers with this one and more later in 7 Video Sports.
Also coming up, see how a $10 tab and a tip pay off big for one unsuspecting waitress.
You are watching 7 News at 6:30 with Rob Hanrahan and Jessica Aguirre.
7 News brought to you in part by Rooms to Go. Decorate with one simple decision. Get delivery in a week or your money back. And by Nissan. It's time to expect more from a car.
Mary, they tell me this is the best delayed payment finance offer Rooms to Go has ever made.
It's true. 100 rooms, 1,000 combinations, big savings. Plus, if you buy now, you put no money down and make no payments until 1997.
You mean 1996.
Forget 96. I mean 1997. Rooms to Go actually pays the interest until then.
No accruals? No interest?
No accruals, no interest, no payments until January 1997.
Rooms to Go.
It's unbelievable.
It's Nissan's unbelievable year-end sales event. And time is running out on your chance to get a great deal on a new Nissan this year. Like the luxurious Maxima. Right now, you can lease a well-equipped 96 Maxima GXE for no down payment and just $319 a month. Or buy any Nissan this month and make no payment until March. So see your Nissan dealer today and get away with a deal that's
unbelievable.
Excellent. Never underestimate the importance of the right word. Spoken or written.
Congratulations.
It can say more than a mouthful, or a page, or a chapter. That's why Sunbank is changing its name. The same dependable service and financial stability you've come to expect, along with a new sense of enthusiasm, can now be summed up in this word.
SunTrust.
The new word for Sunbank.
Got your eye on Play School inline skates? Got a coupon? Whoops. Shop Walmart for your kids, where you always save on toys. With coupons, you save sometimes. With Walmart, always. Got your eye on Fisher-Price Graded Venture Castle? Got a coupon? Whoops. Shop Walmart for your kids, where you always save on toys. With coupons, you save sometimes. With Walmart, always.
The political spotlight is on the Sunshine State tonight as leading Republicans jockey for position in the race for the Oval Office. 7 Senior reporter Mark Ledner is live from the Florida straw poll in Orlando. Mark.
Jessica, we're in the Orange County Convention Center where they are setting up for tonight's televised debate. Only problem is frontrunner Bob Dole is in Washington because of the budget impasse. Tomorrow's straw vote, meanwhile, still shaping up as a major event, make or break time for some of the Republican candidates. The Dole campaign set up a mini county fair, Camp Bob, a colorful and highly caloric effort to make sure these delegates are happy campers. Lamar Alexander, meanwhile, was hosting his own mega feed for delegates at a nearby hotel. Bill Graham's campaign has spent huge money here, too. The goal, a strong finish in Presidency 3. A straw vote that's emerged as the first test of strength in the '96 campaign.
I think it's very important. The man that gets the momentum rolling here can go on to the presidency.
What sort of bounce does the winner get out of this tomorrow?
I think a huge bounce.
Straw vote chairman Jeb Bush says finishing well here means a steady flow of campaign contributions, and it means media status. Thus, the avid courtship of some 3,000 delegates.
Inundated with mailings from all over. I mean, every candidate that ran, from soup to nuts.
We have not been doing the love bombing that my colleagues have done with audios and visuals and books and tapes and dance instructors and Godiva chocolates and paying for rooms.
Pat Buchanan, who has not spent big money on, quote, love bombing the delegates, minimizes Presidency 3 as a media event. But for the candidates who have made dozens of visits to Florida in recent months, this showdown in Orlando is a major event, one that justifies pulling out all the stops, even sending in the clowns.
Well, what about all the people who say politicians are a bunch of clowns?
Well, they're not professionals like we are, that's for sure.
Nearly a year to go until Election Day, and it is already getting silly. Latest polls, by the way, show Bob Dole with about a 30-point lead over the rest of his rivals among Florida Republicans, all of which increases the pressure on him to do very well here tomorrow. Mark London, 7 News, live in Orlando.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. And we invite you to keep it here for continuing coverage of this Sunshine State debate. Senior reporter Mark London will have another live report from the Florida straw poll tonight on 7 News, first at 10.
More political news. Accused of bank fraud and apparently on the run, the husband of Utah Congresswoman Enid Waldholtz has turned himself in. Representative Waldholtz spoke out about the surrender of her husband Joe to federal authorities in Washington state today. Joe had been missing for 6 days. He'll face questions about an alleged $1.7 million check kiting scheme. The Congresswoman says she's confident justice will be served.
And coming up next from the 7 Newsplex, a blizzard paralyzes parts of northern Europe.
And have we got a tip for you? See how one waitress wins big after a customer leaves her a lottery ticket. We're coming right back.
7 News brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
Have you been fishing for a new automobile? Well, your South Florida Chrysler and Plymouth dealer offers you today's catch of the day. Chrysler LHS, the car that reshaped the luxury sedan. With standard 3.5-liter 24-valve engine, Chrysler Infinity sound system, dual airbags, ABS, and more. Now very catching with $2,500 cash back or 1.9% financing. So hook into the catch of the day. See your South Florida Chrysler and Plymouth dealer today.
At Marshall's now, presenting some of the world's most exclusive names at 30 to 85% off department store prices. Beautiful Waterford Lismore Crystal is just $34.99. Elegant Villeroy and Bach dinnerware starts at just $3.99. Limoges porcelain boxes are only $59.99. Assorted Spode china starts at just $6.99, and stemware hand-cut in Europe is only $9.99 each. At Marshall's.
We're taking healthcare in a new direction. To a place where people care. About health, about costs, about people. We're Tenet South Florida Health System. A network of 8 local hospitals, 36 specialized healthcare facilities, and over 3,200 of South Florida's finest physicians. A single entity with a single goal, keeping you healthy. It's not a new idea. It's a new way of getting there. A better way. Tenet, redefining healthcare. For a physician referral, call 1-800-96-TENET.
Now, time for 7 weather with Bill Kamal.
A blizzard brought things to a standstill in Denmark today. Driving snow and strong winds made for some hazardous road conditions, causing a truck to overturn and trapping cars in the middle of the road. The storm caught Danish authorities by surprise after almost 10 years of mild winters. Well, we had our storm, and now Europe's getting in on the act, too. And look at this pattern again. The temperature profile warm in the west and chilly in the east. Now, that's today's highs. Now, this is the brand new 6 to 10 day temperature profile. This is valid from Thanksgiving through the weekend and beyond. Warm in the west, but look at how much of the country east of the Rockies will be below to much below normal. A large chunk of the Great Lakes and all of the southeast and even Florida. Looks like a chilly Thanksgiving period shaping up. But all the moisture should move to the east, so if all goes well, we may dry out as we cool off toward the end of next week. And we'll keep you updated. I know a lot of you have travel plans around the country. Mostly cloudy, 72 right now, a gusty northeasterly breeze. Still in the 60s and 70s, but Jacksonville continues to be the cool spot with that northeast wind coming off the ever so increasingly cooler Atlantic waters. Clouds over southeast Florida much of the day, and a big area of low pressure in the upper levels and at the surface over much of the western Gulf, and that is moving to the northeast with high clouds. 3 areas of precipitation on the map: Texas, the Great Lakes, and the Pacific Northwest. Now, this moisture in Texas should not affect us. It should ride up and kind of weaken in the southeastern U.S. This area in the Great Lakes is another Alberta clipper, a storm system that comes out of the Canadian province, dives into the Ohio Valley, then reforms off the northeast coast, and that area of snow will continue, I think, to plague much of Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and New England over the next couple of days, much of the weekend. That'll send a surge of cooler air across the deep south, but not us. We will warm up this weekend ahead of that front. If the front gets us, it'll be sometime late Sunday night or Monday morning. The winds will then turn back into the northeast, and the cooler air will sink down the coast. Meanwhile, there's that ridge of high pressure in the west with unusually warm air and the storm track nearly across the U.S.-Canadian border. And you can see by the temperature profile tomorrow, warm in the west again, chilly in the east, although we will warm up again for the weekend, briefly, 2-day warm up, and then we get cooler by Monday and Tuesday. A lot of clear skies over the mid-Atlantic all the way down through parts of Florida today. There's that storm system in the Great Lakes. There's the moisture in Texas. Well, watch that for you. I think high clouds may pass just to our north from that system, but the low itself will track into New England, maybe redevelop off the New England coastline at some point late Sunday or Monday. If that happens, then definitely that surge of cool air comes down. And again, for Sunday night and Monday. It looks like the weekend, I would say some sunshine, some clouds, and warmer. We should get to near 80 tomorrow and even warmer by Sunday before the cool air comes in. Brief coastal shower mainly overnight. Many places staying dry, mid-60s, near 60 inland. And again, you can't rule out on this easterly flow a couple of morning showers. Otherwise, a nice Saturday. I think more sunshine than we saw today. Pleasant, highs close to 80. And even in the low 80s on Sunday, a nice end of the weekend. The front Sunday night or Monday with some clouds, maybe a couple of showers. Right now, Tuesday looks cloudy and cooler. And again, we'll update this for you, including the Thanksgiving outlook at 10 o'clock tonight. Rob? All right, thank you, Bill. A Canadian waitress gets a $92,000 tip, and it's not a movie. Might sound like one. In last year's Nicolas Cage, Bridget Fonda movie, It Could Happen to You, a cop left a waitress a lottery ticket. Turned out to be a winning ticket. Now that flick has become a reality in Toronto. A waitress there was left a lotto ticket that turned out to be a winner. Word is she'll be sharing her big winnings with the man who left her that lucky tip.
It's time
Just
to
like
leave the desk and start waiting tables, if you ask me.
And asking for lottery tickets.
Coming up on 7 News, boxing promoter Don King bobbing and weaving his way through the legal system again. Tonight, he's a free man. Deuces Rogers has the details in 7 Video Sports.
Tonight on 7:30, seen any good movies lately? Well, the critics say they haven't. Last year, a guy named Forrest ran the Oscar race and won it. But who's in the lead this year? We'll find out tonight.
7 News brought to you in part by Nissan. It's time to expect more from a car. And by Domino's Pizza. If it's gotta be hot, it's gotta be now.
It's unbelievable.
It's Nissan's unbelievable year-end sales event. And time is running out on your chance to get a great deal on a new Nissan this year. Because right now, you can lease an amazingly equipped 96 Nissan Altima GXE for just $199 a month. Or buy any Nissan this month and make no payment until March. So see your Nissan dealer today and get away with a deal that's
unbelievable.
For a limited time, all Domino's pizzas are just $8.99. Any pizza, any size, any number of toppings. It's the mega deal. Any pizza, any size, any number of toppings. Includes classic hand toss, ultimate deep dish, and crunchy thin crust. No charge for delivery, just $8.99. Any pizza, any size, any number of toppings. The Domino's $8.99 mega deal is good for a limited time only.
I'm John Scott on the new Current Affairs. They rob, they loot, and everyone knows who they are. But a bizarre law makes them completely untouchable. Find out how AIDS is aiding criminals all across Italy. Watch the new Current Affairs.
A Current Affair, tonight at 7 on WSVN 7.
I understand.
There are times when your daughter is pouring her heart out to you.
I understand.
Times when you just can't take that other call on the line. That's why, in addition to call waiting, Bell South has call return service. So after you finish talking to her, you can get the call you missed. Whether it was a friend, a neighbor, or perhaps even your other daughter.
I understand.
Order call waiting and call return now and pay no connection charge. Bell South, it's all here.
People magazine calls Strange Luck one of the most unique and inventive new series since The X-Files.
No!
Don't miss a brand new episode tonight. A young girl is abducted by a killer.
Why are you doing this?
And the only clue is an eyewitness who saw the whole thing in her mind.
You can actually feel what she's going through.
A brand new X-Files.
She's not gonna make it.
She has to.
Time for 7 Video Sports with Deuces Rogers.
Like many of the boxers he represents, Don King did a little bobbing and a little weaving, and tonight his bout with the federal government has ended in a draw. King had been on trial for 9 counts of wire fraud. Yesterday, the jury came back hopelessly deadlocked, and today prosecutors withdrew their appeal. Once again, Teflon Don did not take the rap. Instead, he blamed his employees for fraud. King was accused of trying to collect $350,000 from a canceled bout. Had he been convicted, King would have faced up to 45 years in federal prison and fines of $2.5 million. Well, not perfect, but pretty darn good. That's one way to describe the Panthers' recent homestand. The only blemish came last night as the Cats and Canucks skated to a 2-all tie to the arena, or should I call it the Rat's Nest. One victim was Canucks goalie Kirk McLean. Third period, Cats down by 1. The Rat Man himself, Scott Mellenby, redirects the puck. We're all tied up at 2, and the Exterminators go to work. We fast forward to OT. The Beezer comes up with the big save. The game ends in a 2-2 tie. Wayne's happy, but some players were left disappointed.
There's one thing I really despise, you know, myself, is giving up a goal in the last minute of a period. I mean, those are the things that they got to really, you know, get solid for, and those are the things that'll eat at you.
This has been a season of streak for the Finns. 4 up, 3 down, 2 up. And come Monday, they hope their minor 1-game skid comes to an end. But Monday's game won't be easy. San Fran is coming off their most impressive victory of the season. They whipped the Cowboys on both sides of the ball. The Finns know it's going to be tough. A tough assignment, that is, trying to stop this guy and the 49ers.
We got to come back fighting. That's the good thing about this team. Once we do put ourselves up against the wall, it seems like we come back fighting. So we have a big test in front of us this week against San Francisco, and hopefully we'll come back the way we always do with a big victory.
There probably will be some big plays. It's more going to. We're thinking more of a knockdown, drag-out game than anything. You know, they play with a lot of intensity. They fly around the field, and that's what we're going to have to do. If we're going to beat them, we've got to play hard. We've got to leave it all on the field.
The Niners have looked pretty good. Last Sunday, the Niners, they whipped the Cowboys 38-20. They did it with offense and a rejuvenated defense. To tell you the truth, they're feeling pretty good out there by the Bay. Now, with both teams at 6-4, Monday's game should be crucial.
It's another road trip, you know, and we know Miami's, you know, been struggling a little bit, and, you know, a little bit so are we. But I think, you know, with the Dallas game and winning down there, that gives us, you know, some confidence, and just have to be consistent and, you know, control our own destiny.
Pay special attention to the left side of your screen. Heads up, John Elway. The league has fined Mike Mamula $8,000 for this hit. Elway was forced to leave the game. He did not return and is questionable for the Broncos game against the Chargers. By the way, Mamula was not penalized on the play. Sticking with the Pigskins, the Canes look to make it 6 in a row. Tomorrow afternoon at the OB, Miami will play host to West Virginia. Now, the Big East picture is confusing. Even though the Canes lost to Virginia Tech back in September, if both schools finish with identical record, the Canes can still go to the Orange Bowl. You see, the Big East does not have a tie-break system, thus the Bowl Alliance would choose who goes. The Canes can't worry about other teams. Their only option is to keep winning football games and hope the coalition picks them over the Hokies.
Yeah, we was hoping that Temple tried to give them a run last week. I think the week before is Syracuse, but we look at right now, we put our own self in a situation by losing to them. So we got to bring the rest of the games out and just see what happens.
High school football, it's playoff time, and we'll have highlights tonight at 10. That's sports. Rob and Jessica back to wrap it up right after this.
7 News brought to you in part by Carl.